Is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by pure water is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 26 degrees Celsius in Mobay.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Norgay Banton.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie, says 43 ICU beds are available in the island for adults.
This is in response to a demand for a status update from the opposition spokesman on health.
At least one appeals court judge appears skeptical of the PNP's argument that Parliament improperly granted Paula Llewellyn a second extension as DPP.
The government has repatriated 12 of 14 Haitian adults who arrived in Jamaica to assist with the care of a group of Haitian orphans.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says the Haitian adults came under false pretense.
Subsequent to their arrival, we discovered that 12 of the caregivers were not trained caregivers and were actually here on a false pretense.
In news from the rest of the world, Haitians hold their breath as newly arrived Kenyan police force prepares to face gangs.
Soldiers storm Bolivian presidential palace in apparent coup attempt.
And in headline sports, Jamaica and Ecuador are kicking off just about now at the Copa America in Las Vegas.
Later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, should civil servants be off limits when it comes to political discourse? President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Teacher Clark Griffiths, President of the Union of Clerical Administrative and Supervisory Employees UK's Vincent Morrison, and public commentator Elaene Davis-White will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, is there a fake news problem in Jamaica? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page Nationwide News Network and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the first UN-backed contingent of Kenyan police arrived in Haiti on Tuesday, nearly 2 years after it urgently requested help to quell a surge in gang violence. Caribbean correspondent at the Miami Herald, Jacqueline Charles, will join us.
At 7, it's Think Like a Stockbroker with Siobhan Campbell.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers. All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM and nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, June 26, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
if it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now the details. The country's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie, has provided details about the number of operable ventilators and beds available in intensive care units, ICUs, in health facilities around the country. Her update follows claims by opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, that there are less than 40 ICU beds available in the country. The CMO is on a list of senior public health officials that the PNP and its affiliates have called on to resign over their poor management of the health sector. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
In a statement on Monday, Dr. Alfred Dawes stated that reports he received indicated that there were only 35 ICU beds available across the health system. Dr. Dawes called on the health ministry to tell the public about the country's current ICU capacity. The CMO, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie, told Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing that 43 ICU beds are available in the island for adults. She says extra high dependency areas exist to ventilate patients awaiting an ICU bed.
In terms of the number of ICU beds across the country, we presently have 43 ICU beds or ICU designated spaces that we can get up if we have staffing in place. In addition, we have 23 high dependency areas that have been created. We would also have within our recovery rooms capacity to be able to ventilate persons for very short periods until they are able to be moved to a high dependency or a intensive care unit. And we have 19 such spaces in the recovery rooms.
As it relates to neonates, Dr. Besacer Mackenzie stated that approximately 56 ICU spaces are available for them. The CMO says this is in addition to 18 maternal units created for 3 hospitals through the European Union's Programme for the Reduction of Maternal and Child Mortality, PROMAC.
For our neonatal intensive care units, we have about 56 spaces across the country. Usually about a third to a half of these can be ventilated spaces, but many of these spaces support the babies with other means of respiratory support. And then through PROMAC, we had established 18 maternal high dependency units in 3 hospitals. So all of these spaces are potentially available. Not all of them are up and running. The running of a intensive care or high dependency space is highly dependent not just on the critical equipment but also critical staffing levels.
Dr. Besacer Mackenzie says 90 ventilators are now operable across the health sector for both adults and neonates.
We have, at this morning's check, 90 that were working. Last week it might have been 100, though it varies. Depending on the ventilators, whether or not the ventilators are made specifically to a particular setting to deal with neonates, or whether it is ventilators that can be used interchangeably among different age groups based on the connections and tubings that are there. These ventilators can move around. So if I have 8 ventilators working, say for example at Spanish Town Hospital, where I have a high dependency unit for adult and I have NICU facilities, that is neonatal intensive care unit, those 8 ventilators would be moved to where they are needed.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
And the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the report of the investigation into the death of Morant Bay councillor, the PNP's Rohan Brown, will be reviewed by a panel of experienced physicians and legal experts. Mr. Brown died in April after being admitted for care at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
The Southeast Regional Health Authority investigated the death of Mr. Rohan Livingston Bryan, who died on April 30th, 2024 at the Princess Margaret Hospital, 2 days after admission. Sarah's report identified several issues that may have contributed to the unfortunate outcome of Mr. Bryan. Investigations by Sarah are still ongoing. However, the case has also been referred to the patient complaints mechanism, where an expert panel of physicians and legal experts are being convened to review the issues raised in the report and to determine if there is any negligence on the part of any of the responsible personnel, as well as to make any recommendations for the way forward. That is the current state of play as it relates to that incident.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Health Minister.
At least one of the 3 judges hearing the appeal of the ruling that cut short Paula Llewellyn's tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions appeared skeptical of the PNP's argument that Parliament improperly granted her a second extension in office. Justice Kisak Lang repeatedly pressed lawyers for the PNP to justify why they considered the constitutional amendment a second extension if Ms. Llewellyn was properly in office at the time the law was passed. Dana Davey has more in this report.
It's a central point in the high-stakes appeal on which the government and the opposition disagree. The resolution of the question will likely determine whether Paula Llewellyn is reinstated as the country's chief prosecutor. She's been off the job since April. The PNP has argued that the challenged constitutional amendment had the effect of creating a second extension of Paula Llewellyn's tenure. The opposition says that it grants Ms. Llewellyn a power that was never intended by the framers of the Constitution. Justice Lang questioned that reasoning. He asked Attorney Kevin Powell, quote, "Counsel, She has the benefit of an extension and therefore she is validly in the position at that time. She's not now seeking a second extension. She's getting an extension by virtue of the amendment, so she's not applying for a second extension." End quote. Powell raised the question as to whether the Parliament was then seeking to circumvent the process laid down for granting extensions of the DPP's tenure. He told the Court of Appeal that where the Constitution is amended, it should be forward-looking and not retrospective unless that's explicitly stated. Again, Justice Elaene raised concerns with the line of argument. Quote, "Counsel, I don't get that point. Why are you saying it is retrospective if she is currently in the position and the Act is extending the period beyond her current term, so it's not going back and granting her an extension?" End quote. Justice Jennifer Straw also echoed similar concerns. She told the attorney the amendment was not saying the DPP had left the office at 60 and then should be called back into service. Justice Straw repeatedly asked why, as the incumbent DPP at the time of the law's passing, Paula Llewellyn should not benefit from its provisions. Mr. Powell told the judges that in order to apply to Ms. Llewellyn, the amendment needed explicit language saying it intended to have that effect. He stressed to the judges that without that specific language, Ms. Llewellyn could not be a beneficiary of the amended law. He said the law could only apply to future DPPs. The appeal hearing is on its third day. It continues Thursday morning at 9:30. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, King's Counsel Michael Hilton has urged the Court of Appeal to carefully consider whether Parliament acted with a proper purpose in extending Paula Llewellyn's tenure. The former Solicitor General, who's representing the PNP in the matter, told the three judges the legislators had a duty to utilize the general lawmaking power granted by the Constitution in an appropriate manner. He urged the court not to accept that the extension of Paula Llewellyn's tenure served a legitimate or proper purpose. Casey Hilton reasoned that the government's argument that courts should not inquire into Parliament's motives in passing laws was not supported by existing legal precedents. He says the government's appeal should be dismissed and the ruling of the Constitutional Court upheld.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon has revealed that 12 of the 14 Haitian adults who were returned to their homeland on Tuesday were not caregivers as previously thought. The individuals came to the island in March. The Jamaican authorities were told that they were here to assist with the care of a group of orphans who were rescued from the political and social turmoil in Haiti. But, speaking with Nationwide News on Wednesday, Dr. Morris-Dixon says 12 of the 14 came under false pretense. More in this report from Shalois Michael.
It's the latest revelation surrounding the mystery of the 14 Haitian adults who arrived as caregivers with a group of 59 disabled orphans. The so-called caregivers and the orphans were housed at the Jacob's Ladder facility run by Mustard Seed Communities in St. Anne. But 3 months after arriving on the island, some of the 14 adult so-called caregivers went missing from the facility. Mustard Seed told our news center that the individuals vanished for about 11 days. The matter was reported to the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA. The group subsequently returned to the Jacob's Ladder facility. The situation took another turn on Tuesday after police took 12 of the 14 Haitian adults from the location and transported them to another facility. They were later repatriated by boat to Haiti about 10 p.m. on Tuesday. The information minister says the government acted to send the Haitians back home after initially being misled.
Subsequent to their arrival, we discovered that 12 of the caregivers were not trained caregivers and were actually here under false pretense. The government made a decision to repatriate those 12 reported caregivers back to Haiti. Some of them did flee the Mustard Seed Communities location and had to be found by the government. They have been repatriated along with 2 other individuals that were here, and so it's a total of 14.
Nationwide News understands that the other 2 among the group were subject to a deportation order after arriving in the island on a previous occasion. It's understood that one member of the group of 14 was seen driving a motor vehicle in St. Anne 1 day after arriving on the island. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
Earlier today, Nationwide News posted a story to our online platforms with a headline that associated JTA President-elect Mark Malaver with an ongoing court matter involving a school teacher. The school teacher is facing gun and ammunition charges. Nationwide News made the post in error as there is no connection between Mr. Malaver and that court matter. We apologize to Mr. Malaver and regret the inconvenience caused.
You're listening to the news Nationwide at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
5:16.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
Continuing the news, State Minister for National Security Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn is calling for a formal apology from PNP Vice President Ian Hales for comments she deems defamatory. The allegation stems from a video Mr. Hales circulated across multiple social media platforms. Ms. Cuthbert-Flynn says if Mr. Hales does not comply, she will initiate legal proceedings against him. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The minister made the call for a formal apology through a statement from White Walters Law dated Wednesday, June 26, 2024. Andrea White Walters, the attorney representing Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn, says that on or about June 19, 2024, Ian Hales posted a video on various social media accounts. The statement says that in these videos, Hales used audio of Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn's voice from a private conversation several years ago. It's alleged that Hales then deliberately and maliciously posted an edited video and used the said audio to give the impression that the state minister was engaged in a telephone conversation with him. The letter says Hales' malicious and false act was an attack on Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn's character. It says the video was intended to cause harm, damage, and to lower her reputation in the eyes of the public. Ms. White Walters says her client categorically denies ever having any conversation with Hales whatsoever in which she spoke to him in the manner in which he would wish to have the public believe. She says the video continues to be used as a tool to mislead and deceive the public in a misguided attempt to further a political agenda. The statement also says the use of their client's voice in this manner is a breach of the Cybercrimes Act. Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn is demanding a formal and public apology posted on all of Hales' social media platforms. If Ian Hales fails to comply, legal action will be taken against him. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Minister of Labour, Pernell Charles Jr., is demanding that opposition leader Mark Golding answer questions he previously posed regarding his British citizenship. Mr. Charles says despite asking pertinent questions regarding Mr. Golding's British citizenship, he's remained quiet on the topic. The Labour minister says the opposition has instead attempted to deflect the criticism by targeting him and his sister, Dr. Michelle Charles.
I'm going to use the opportunity to call on the leader of the opposition to provide the answers to the questions that I kindly asked him and respectfully laid before him. I never quarrel, I never go on bad, I simply ask some questions, and to date, silence, crickets. Instead, what have they done? They sent out some surrogates to come ask me and my sister, and not answer nothing where you ask me until you answer my question. You take man for idiot.
Both Minister Charles and his sister have come under fire from the PNP, which has questioned the timing of their renunciations. The minister took the opportunity to repeat the question he believes deserves an answer from a man seeking to lead the country.
How come you tell Jamaica in 2022 say you didn't give up your British passport before you get into politics. And you tell Jamaica in 2024, say you soon give up your British passport. You take with me, idiot. How come you tell Jamaica, I know me say so, you know, I him say so. Mr. 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Pernell Charles Jr., Labour Minister.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
There's anticipation mingled with fear across Haiti as the country welcomes the fourth major foreign intervention in its history to fight gang violence choking the Caribbean country. A couple hundred police officers from Kenya met early Wednesday with Prime Minister Gary Coney as they prepare to deploy in the coming days. No one except high-ranking officials knows their assignment, which officials have said is for security reasons. The first UN-backed contingent of foreign police arrived Monday. They will later be joined by police and soldiers from the Bahamas, Bangladesh, Barbados, Benin, Chad, and Jamaica for a total of 2,500 personnel. Prime Minister Coney says the Haitian strategy is to restore security house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood, town by town.
Bolivia's presidential palace has been stormed by soldiers as the country's president warned of an unfolding coup. General Juan José Zuniga told reporters from Murillo Square after it was taken by troops that his forces were going to recover their homeland. President Luis Arce says a coup was underway and demanded that General Zuniga stand down the troops which have taken over parts of central La Paz. Bolivian Minister Maria Nela Prada says military units had taken positions at all four corners of the square and were not letting anyone enter. The apparent coup attempt was immediately denounced by the leaders of Mexico and Honduras.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity. Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie says 43 ICU beds are available in the island for adults.
This in response to a demand for a status update from the opposition spokesman on health.
At least one appeals court judge appears skeptical of the PNP's argument that Parliament improperly granted Paula Llewellyn a second extension as DPP.
The government has repatriated 12 of 14 Haitian adults who arrived in Jamaica to assist with the care of a group of Haitian orphans.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon says the Haitian adults came under false pretense.
Subsequent to their arrival, we discovered that 12 of the caregivers were not trained caregivers and were actually here under false pretense.
I'm Norigay Banton.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 Gas Promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Jamaica won the women's 400 meters hurdles for the second time in Olympic history when Elaene Walker won the event in a then Olympic record of 52.64 seconds. Walker's exploits gave Jamaica its 12th gold medal in Olympic history.
Foster and Elaene Walker, these two, into the straight. Tasha Danvers in third place. If she could just hold on to this now, She'll come under pressure shortly. Elaine Walker now coming down the straight, stuttering into the hurdle, but coming away from it. And Tasha, if she can just hold on, because Rapchenyuk is closing down, and I think she could get a medal. Elaine Walker is going to be the champion. She's the Olympic champion.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Petrojam E1087 Gas Promotion, serving Jamaica's energy needs.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Ecuador were leading Jamaica 1-0 at sports time in their Group B encounter at the Copa America in Las Vegas. A deflection by Casey Palmer from an attempted Ecuador cross almost at the corner flag looped over the head of goalkeeper Jamali Waite and into the back of the net. Damian Lowe is wearing the captain's armband, having worked his way into the starting lineup. Jamaica are at the foot of the group, having lost their opening game by 1-0 to Mexico. Later tonight, the Mexicans and Venezuela will meet in a top of the table clash. Aston Villa winger Leon Bailey has been slapped with a temporary suspension from selection to the national team. The Jamaica Football Federation said in a release this morning, this decision has been made in light of recent circumstances surrounding his comments and non-participation in the Copa America 2024, despite being selected. The release also said consideration was also given to his stated desire to take a break from national duties, and suspending his selection will guard against any further miscommunication. Bailey has scored 5 international goals from 30 games for Jamaica since making his debut in 2019 against Honduras at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. The governing body for football in Jamaica said they value the contributions of all players and respects their individual decisions regarding national team participation. The JFF has also referred this matter to the newly appointed chairman of the Disciplinary and Ethics Committee, David Watt. The last 6 spots to the round of 16 at the European Football Championships were determined on today's last day of group action. The day was highlighted by the biggest shock of the tournament so far, Georgia beating one of the favorites, Portugal, 2-0 in Gelsenkirchen to qualify as one of the best third-place teams.
And here's Kvaratskhelia with an opportunity early on and scores! What about that? Sensation! Spikotanza, and it's 2-0 to Georgia. This is amazing.
Now, despite the loss, Portugal topped the group ahead of Turkey, who defeated Czechia, formerly the Czech Republic, 2-0 in Hamburg. Romania finished top of Group E after playing out a 1-1 draw with Slovakia in Frankfurt. The Slovaks went through as one of the top third-place finishers after Belgium, despite a disappointing goalless draw with Ukraine, secured the runner-up spot. The matchup for the round of 16 will see Spain facing Georgia, Germany against Denmark, Portugal against Slovenia, France versus Belgium, Romania against Netherlands, Austria, Turkey, champions Italy. They'll battle Switzerland, and England will take on Slovakia. The round of 16 will kick off on Saturday. The West Indies Academy were trailing emerging Ireland by 197 runs at close on day 2 of their second 4-day tour game at the Civil Service Cricket Ground in Belfast. At the close, the emerging Ireland side were 397 for 7 after dismissing the West Indies Academy for 200 on yesterday's first day. Fionn Hand is not out on 61, but it was Andrew Balbirnie who led the way with 88. He was supported by Andy McBride, 64, James McCullum, 40, and Paul Sterling, 32. Joshua Bishop bagged the 2 for 72 and Teddy Bishop 2 for 35. Bishop starred for the Academy yesterday with the bat. He got 69. Naeem Young weighed in with 29 as they made 200 all out. The West Indies Academy trailed the series 1-0 after going down by 72 runs in the first game. In an exciting contest at the Melinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium, the West Indies women secured a 6-wicket victory over Sri Lanka via the Duckworth-Lewis method in the second T20 International. With the win, the Caribbean side also leveled the 3-match series at 1-1. Batting first, Sri Lanka struggled to build momentum. They finished at 89 for 4 in 15.2 overs. And the West Indies successfully chased the target down. In fact, it was a revised target of 99 runs from 14 balls and 14 overs and 1 ball. And they got that with 6 wickets in hand. Hayley Matthews, the captain, scored a run of ball 29 and she hit 5 fours to lead the victory charge. And it's now time for the nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Usain Bolt is the only sprinter to win individual gold at 3 consecutive Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Usain Bolt won gold medals in both the 100 and 200 meters in Beijing 2008, London 2012, and 2016 in Rio.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
So, folks, guess what happened? Next month, this time, this date, next month, July 26th, we will just about be completing the opening ceremony. It's 12:30 in the morning, 11:30 in the night. Let me say, yeah, it's about 11:30 now, yeah. So it's 29 minutes to midnight in Paris. So the opening ceremony should just about be coming to an end this day next month. We're actually 1 month away from the start of the opening ceremony for the Olympic Games. And all of that will be captured right here on Nationwide 90 FM. As sports, we're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Hyundai, the home of modern, premium, affordable vehicles. Call us at 876-630-1511. The time by Hyundai is
5:31.
Never before in our history has there been more roads built or under construction at the same time. The Maypen to Williamsfield Highway, the Montego Bay Perimeter Road, the South Coast Highway Improvement Project, and many more. We are building Jamaica.
The temperature by the office of the Prime Minister is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 26 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, meet a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Back for better medication management.
Jamaica's third gold medal at the Olympic Games came in the men's 4x400 meters relay final at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki. The quartet of Arthur Wint, Leslie Lang, Herb McKinley, and George Roden won the final and in the process broke the 20-year-old world record with a time of 3 minutes 03.9 seconds. McKinley's third leg of 44.6 seconds, credited with pulling Jamaica into contention from 10 meters back, is considered one of the greatest relay legs in history. On the last leg, George Roden, the 400 meters champion, and USA's Mal Whitfield, the 800 meters champion, ran virtually shoulder to shoulder, but Roden was able to keep the lead and beat Whitfield by a yard. This gave McKinley his first and only Olympic gold medal.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Horton's Pharmacy. Horton's RX Back for better medication management.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting.
Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
How certain are you that you're taking proper care of your pets? How often do you take them to the vet? Just as we need annual checkups with our doctors, most pets need regular checkups too. Owning and caring for a family pet doesn't have to be a difficult or burdensome experience. Nationwide 90 FM has an exciting feature called Pets World that will help you take better care of your pets. Join Nationwide 90 FM every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning as we take you into the do's and don'ts of caring for your pets. That's Pets World every Wednesday at 6:50 a.m. during the program This Morning on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Let's help you sharpen your investment skills so you can analyze, strategize, and capitalize on market trends. Think Like a Stockbroker is a weekly radio program that explores the implications of current market news. Get investment tips and hear their top picks from hosts Siobhan Campbell and Sagicor Investments expert Jodian Aris. Tune in to Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker Wednesdays at 7 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
This is Wayne Walker from Nationwide 90 FM, and I'll be reporting live from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Nationwide 90 FM understands that this could be the best Olympic Games ever. Never miss a single moment, update, commentary, or analysis from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM.
Ronnie James is coming at Hudson Smith, but watch the Jamaican! Here comes Antonio Watson, this could be a photo finish! The Jamaicans got it!
Nationwide 90 FM, we promise to give you A+ coverage powered by our silver sponsors, Digicel, Supreme Ventures Limited, and Pepsi.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Drive Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 5.99% interest rate. Yes, shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 5.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 5.99%. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon. It's 5:38 and time for the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon to you, Sir Siobhan. Good afternoon to our listeners and our viewers on YouTube. I'm Tyrone Reed.
Well, listeners, we're going to continue a discussion we started yesterday, and that is the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, has come out in support of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, that's Dunstan Bryan, who it believes is currently facing undue backlash. The PNP, through its professional affiliate, the Patriots, have called for the resignation of Mr. Bryan and Chief Medical Officer CMO, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie.
Both Mr. Bryan and Dr. Bisesa McKenzie have been criticized for what those who are criticizing them is describing as being woefully out of touch with the state of healthcare in Jamaica. The permanent secretary has specifically been scrutinized for the ministry's handling of its appropriations accounts dating back nearly a decade.
But in a statement on Tuesday, the JCSA recognized the invaluable contributions and unwavering dedication of Mr. Bryan in serving the health sector and the nation, especially during challenging times. The JCSA says the recent attacks not only undermine Bryan's integrity and professionalism, but also pose a threat to the stability and effectiveness of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
And I think it bears repeating here, Siobhan, that regarding the appropriations and the checks that have been done into that and found the health ministry wanting those date back 10 to 12 years, and Permanent Secretary Brian has only been at the helm for 5 years. I think it's worth noting whenever we have this conversation. It's also condemning what it sees as any form of interference that compromises the autonomy and efficiency of public servants. It's calling on all stakeholders to respect and uphold the professional boundaries and maintain the nonpartisan nature of the civil service.
Well, we're being joined now by President of the JCSA, that's Tesha Clark Griffiths, and former President of the Jamaica Confederations of Trade Unions, JCTU, Elaene Davis White, as well as President of the Union of Clerical Administrators and Supervisory Employees, Vincent Morrison. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone, and to your
Good afternoon,
listeners
Helene and
across
Vincent.
Jamaica.
Before we get into it, though, this statement just came in from the PNP at hand, and I think it's pertinent to just at least read the first paragraph from it. It's from the party's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, that says, "The People's National Party stands resolutely with its civil servants and healthcare workers who are increasingly burdened by the under-resourced and understaffed public healthcare sector. However, it says our concern is not directed at the dedicated civil servants who are often overworked and underpaid. Instead, we call upon the government, the minister, and the specific accounting officers in the Ministry of Health and Wellness to address the issues of deep-seated impunity and poor stewardship of the portfolio, which continues to cost Jamaicans their lives." And the title of this release from the PNP is "No One is Above Questions When Jamaican Lives Are on the Line. PNP calls for accountability and oversight in the health sector."
That's the full text of the release, Siobhan?
No, it goes on, but in the interest of time, I don't think I can read the full.
All right. Because I wanted to know whether or not they supported the call for the resignations. Does the release address that?
Well, let's see. It says the Ministry of Health and Wellness has failed to account for Jamaican 700 billion. This includes over 7 million worth of computer equipment that has gone missing, nearly 18 million spent without proper procurement documentation, and the absence of the Permanent Secretary's approval for relevant contracts. Additionally, more than 35 million was spent on consulting services over 9 months without a competitive process of advertisement.
Producer says it doesn't mention the resignations.
It does not. Based on what I see here, it does not.
Right. So let's turn to our panelists. We have, it's Teacher Clark Griffiths, isn't it? Tisha, all right?
Yeah.
Tisha Clark Griffiths and Elaene Davis White and Vincent Morrison. The JCSA felt the need to issue this statement in support of Permanent Secretary Brian. Make the case for us. Why did the JCSA feel compelled to make this statement?
Well, the JCSA is compelled because Mr. Brian is a member of the JCSA as a union that protects the rights of our members, and we believe that the attack is unwarranted, and we believe that there's due process that should take place. And what we have realized over time is that we have seen an increase in attacks on our public servants, and we have to vehemently denounce it. And we have a responsibility as a union to protect public servants. We are not saying that they should not be scrutinized and that there should be no accountability. But what we're saying is that there are processes, and everybody is now calling for resignation. That's not how it works for public servants, Whilst there's an accountability framework in place to deal with whatever breaches that occurs. And so what we're saying is that allow due process and the rule of natural justice to take place. Because when you go out like that and attack public servants, what you do is that you damage their reputation and their character. And we felt the need to come out and support our member, who is a long-standing member of the public service, who has given exemplary service to this nation, especially during the COVID pandemic, when all of us as public servants sat on our TV and watched every evening for the public, the CMO and the permanent secretary to update the nation on what was happening at the time. I think sometimes we forget that it was public servants who were on the line during the time that has given selflessly to this nation. And so, as the president, that was my reason, or those are my reasons for coming out and speaking on behalf of.
We're up on the break, so let's take the rest after this.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? When you head to the bar, feel our vibes and party. Spend 15 bills, get a queue, feed the crew. Or spend 250 pound a drink for you or your boo. How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask? How much for your drink a rare rum? How much for your flask?
Must be 18 years old to drink responsibly.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, meet a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
Did you know that many of my schoolmates have an unhealthy diet, especially at school? And now 23% of them are overweight and or obese? And so one less sugary drink at my school may mean one friend less,
or two or three,
at risk of cavities or diabetes. And if we're served less foods high in saturated fats, sugar and sodium, it may reduce our risk from obesity, heart disease and high blood pressure. The solution is simple, right? Act now. Let's get unhealthy foods and beverages out of our schools.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers, to the cover story where we're tackling this matter of political, or rather the public servants or civil servants being dragged into the political discourse. We have with us Tisha Clark Griffiths. She's the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, as well as Elaene Davis-White, who is the former president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, and Vincent Morrison. He's the president of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, UCASE. Elaene Davis-White, you're a veteran of the trade unions. Where is the line drawn? So we're not suggesting that the members of the civil service at any level are above criticism from the political directorate, but where is the line to be drawn, and what is the proper avenue of address, or redress, I should say, when dealing with concerns about accountability in the public service?
Yeah, but I think it has to be made clear from the outset, and I think Tisha also said it, is that we're not saying that public servants are above reproach, yeah? But when you place a public servant within the midst of political dialogue, diatribe, whatever it is that you may want to call it, then that, I think, is where the line has to be drawn. So in the normal course of the work of a parliamentarian, things may come before them that suggest that particular public servants have to be questioned. And I think that is what a lot of the work of the Public Accounts Committee is aimed at. And to me, that is the proper forum for something like that. not calling for people's resignation when you have not actually, you don't actually have knowledge of all the facts. You have statements that have come out, and these statements may not be in keeping with what you would want to hear. But the truth of the matter is that you have a process through the Parliament that you can question the work of public servants, and we think that is where it should be left, and not in the public arena calling for resignation of public servants in situations where the due process has not been followed, so you really don't have the full information to be able to make that call for a resignation.
Let me bring you in here, Vincent Morrison. You've before I do, I just want to be clear. Tisha Clark Griffiths, your release was in response to the Patriots' statement calling for the resignation of Permanent Secretary Brian and Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie. Yes,
it was that was a part of it, but it's not just that. But if you follow social media, realize that a lot of persons were also saying things that were not factual. And as Elaene indicated, the pace is where that discussion should take place. And I just want to bring you back, and you made a point before you started, that Mr. Bryan started 5 years ago. So this problem precedes him in terms of the financial statements and the financial reports that have been outstanding. And there are systemic problems in government, not just Ministry of Health, across government that needs to be addressed. And one of the things that he highlighted in his press release was the financial management software and the issues that they were having with that FinMan software, and working with the Ministry of Finance to deal with some of these matters. So it's not like he's not doing something to address them. And to be honest with you, criticisms are necessary. But it is the attack that we have a problem with. It is the political, I don't know how to call it right now, but it is the condemning of persons and putting things out there that will impugn persons' character and stuff like that without delving into the facts. Now the Auditor General would have revealed some things, and they would have provided some responses to the Auditor General, indicating some of the systemic issues that they were having in relation to the financial management system and the related issues, and those persons who would have left the ministry, that some have died, and the unwillingness of some of the members to sign off on things. Now, there may be systemic problems, there may be procedural problems, of course, but I'm saying the way in which we do things is to have constructive dialogue, so that when we do these things and the chips fall where they may, when the permanent secretary
let's bring in Vincent Morrison. Now, Vincent Morrison, we haven't heard from you yet. Your reaction to the calls from the Patriots, and the PNP has just issued a release. It has not distanced itself from the call for the resignation of the CMO and the minister, the CMO, as well as the permanent secretary. What's your reaction to that, Vincent Morrison?
Before you go, Mr. Morrison, in fact, I just found a line I found interesting from that PNP release. It says, does this situation not demand accountability from the top echelons of the ministry? We are not criticizing civil servants broadly. Our concern is with a minister and a particular civil servant who has overseen this significant mismanagement. Accountability is non-negotiable, and someone must be held responsible. If not the permanent secretary and the minister, who then should Jamaicans hold to account for this gross negligence? Asked Dr. Dayton Campbell. Go ahead, Mr. Morrison, your response to that.
Thank you for having me, sir. I want to say that I've dealt with both persons you mentioned in your preamble, and I've found both persons to be what I would want to describe as outstanding public servants. I also want to make it clear that in the 70s, certain pieces of labor, certain pieces of legislation were introduced. The LRIB, with its attendant, the Labor Code, and the termination of employment of the Redundancy Payment Act. You cannot, in what I call an en blanche approach, call for the dismissal of workers. And it doesn't matter whether they're permanent secretary or the janitor, whoever. The law is the law. There's no question that the law must be applied. The Labor Code must be adhered to. Now, the previous speaker spoke about natural justice, and they're correct. I would want to believe that going forward, we have to decide where we draw the line between the civil servants, workers, per se, and the professional politicians. I think the line has to be drawn so that we don't blur the approach, that whatever we do, we don't condemn people without getting the facts. I don't know what happened in cabinet. I don't know what happened in discussions between the permanent secretary, the chief medical officer, and the ministry in their weekly or monthly discussion. I don't know what advice is given to the minister. Huh? My point is that as a trade union practicing for some time in this country, we can't have a standard for one set of workers and another standard for another group. We have to be consistent. And therefore, I would want to believe that the statement from the People's National Party may be at this time somewhat ill-timed. Maybe more facts has to be gotten. And I have no problem that we're the facts. And the question of accountability cannot be proven. That, those who are responsible has to answer. Because,
all right, let me just, we're running out of time, Vincent Morrison, and we need to, let me see if I can get Elaene Davis-White back in on the conversation. Elaene Davis-White, the PNP has responded, it has seemingly doubled down on the position taken by its affiliate organization, the Patriots. Is that the wrong move from the PNP?
I think it certainly is the wrong move, because while the release by virtue of what was read a while ago says that, they are not attacking civil servants, etc. And yes, we accept that civil servants are not beyond reproach, but at the same time, I think they need to, set a stage as the senior politicians, because the Patriots are the younger ones, as the senior politicians, to be able to say to their young colleagues that attacks on public servants should not be encouraged. And it is taken to be an attack when you call for their resignation based on information that is not whole and you don't have all the facts.
Teacher Clark, your reaction to the PNP's statement, doubling down, it seems, on the call from the Patriots. Do you think the PNP has taken the wrong stance here?
I think so. I mean, remember, public servants, regardless of who forms a political party, remains there. That's why they're permanent secretaries. And so whichever party forms the government work with public servants. And so it's important for us to draw a particular line. And when I was going to university, I learned the term dichotomy, which is a separation between politics and administration. And for too long, we have seen the lines crossed. And what we're saying is that there are processes, understand what those processes is, and make sure that we don't interfere and to damage the character of public servants. The very public servants that you may very well be working with if the party changes. So what we're saying is, yes, we agree that there might be issues, but there are particular ways to deal with them. There are processes, and we have to teach others the right way to do things, because we can do the right things the wrong way.
I know we're out of time, but you didn't particularly mention Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie in your statement, did you?
No, I did not mention her in my press release because by virtue of the fact that she's not a member, but I was talking generally for public servants overall, because Mr. Brian is a member of the JCSA, and that is why I was able to clearly state our position on his behalf. However, we also supported public servants overall, as senior public servants as indicated in my press release.
Understood.
That's Tisha Clark Griffiths. She's the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association. We are also joined by the former president of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, Elaene Davis White, and president of the Union of Clerical, Administrative, and Supervisory Employees, Vincent Morrison. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan, and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Shalois Michael. The country's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie, says 43 intensive care units, ICU beds, are available in the island for adults.
In terms of the number of ICU beds across the country, we presently have 43 ICU beds or ICU designated spaces that we can get up if we have staffing in place. In addition, we have 23 high dependency areas that have been created. We would also have within our recovery rooms the capacity to be able to ventilate persons for very short periods until they are able to be moved to a high dependency or a intensive care unit. And we have 19 such spaces in the recovery rooms.
As it relates to neonates, Dr. Bisesa McKenzie stated that approximately 56
means of respite, 18 maternal high dependency units in 3 hospitals. So all of these spaces are potentially available. Not all of them are up and running. The running of a intensive care or high dependency space is highly dependent not just on the critical equipment, but also critical staffing levels.
She says 90 ventilators are now operable across the health sector for both adults and neonates.
We have, at this morning's check, 90 that were working. Last week it might have been 100, though it varies. Depending on the ventilators, whether or not the ventilators are made specifically to a particular setting to deal with neonates, or whether it is ventilators that can be used interchangeably among different age groups based on the connections and tubings that are there. These ventilators can move around. So if I have 8 ventilators working, say for example at Spanish Town Hospital, where I have a high dependency unit for adult and I have NICU facilities, that is neonatal intensive care unit, those 8 ventilators would be moved to where they are needed.
Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie, Chief Medical Officer of Jamaica. The government is moving to make it a profitable venture to collect plastic waste. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the move will be incorporated in the government's $2.5 billion waste cleaning budget.
When you look at the composition of the waste that you see that offends us all, 90% of it is plastic. It's not orange peel. It's not so much paper. It is plastics. So this program will target the collection of plastics. So yes, there will be a component to remove bulky waste. There will be a component to generally clean important corridors, parks, and critical urban municipalities, town centers as you call them. But there will be a component where we will pay people to collect plastic and we will buy the plastic back from them. So in other words, we will create a market for waste plastics.
Prime Minister Holness had announced the multi-billion-dollar program during his contribution to the sectoral debate in March. It forms a part of efforts to improve the cleaning of major gullies, drains, and roadways across Jamaica. In providing an update on Tuesday at the National Heroes Park in Kingston, Prime Minister Holness says the structural development of the program is well underway.
In my budget presentation, I announced a $2.5 billion program to clean up Jamaica. We have started to structure that program to develop a way in which we're going to deliver this. This program will have institution and endurance, meaning we'll put a structure in place to make sure that it is run by rules, it is transparent, it affords participation of the citizens, and the objectives are transparent and understood. And it will treat with this issue of the improper disposal of our waste in Jamaica.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, says the country is prepared for the Atlantic hurricane season. Speaking on Tuesday at the JLP's Area Council 1 meeting held at the Fletcher's Land Community Centre in West Kingston, Minister McKenzie says there are now more than 800 emergency shelters across the island.
We have 95 shelters in the Kingston and St. Andrew community, 66 in St. Catherine, 16 in Portmore, 94 in Clarendon, 68 in Manchester, 87 in St. Elizabeth, 64 in Westmoreland, 55 in Hanover, 42 in Trelawney, 58 in St. James, 84 in St. Anne, 53 in St. Mary, 45 in Portland, and 43 in St. Thomas. All of these shelters are over 80% ready in case we have to rely on our shelters.
The hurricane season officially began on June 1 and ends on November 30. Weather experts have predicted a very active season. For 2024, there's expected to be 17 to 25 named storms, 8 to 13 hurricanes, and 4 to 7 major hurricanes. Minister McKenzie is urging Jamaicans to take warnings from weather experts seriously.
And your government, the government of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, we have provided in this year's budget more money to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, HODPEM. They have more money for relief supply. They have more money to ensure that all our shelters are equipped if it becomes necessary. I urge you all, I urge you not to dismiss it. I know we are a God-blessed country, but do not, ladies and gentlemen, believe that we are not prone to disaster.
Desmond McKenzie, Local Government Minister. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, meet a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
My Mega With so much to do in one location, make Mega Mart your one-stop shop.
Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills. Fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Don't compromise on water storage. Choose Rhino water tanks, Jamaica's top pick for over 25 years. Built strong. Purchase a water harvester for an additional water supply. Rhino water tank, Jamaica's choice.
Building wealth the smart way means you have a clear mission for your money. Specific and measurable means defining the reason for your financial goals. Achievable and realistic means keeping those goals meaningful, yet attainable. Think more retirement, less world's richest. Timely means keeping a time frame in mind so that all efforts remain focused.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Ecuador, they were leading Jamaica 2-0 at halftime. Well, they've just resumed, and they're early in the second half, but the Ecuadorians are leading by 2-0. And this, of course, in their Group B encounter at the Copa America in Las Vegas. Ecuador took the lead on 14 minutes when a deflection by Casey Palmer from an attempted cross almost at the corner flag looped over the head of goalkeeper Jamali Waite and into the back of the Jamaican net. The lead was doubled after Kendry Paez, a 17-year-old boy, scored from the penalty spot after Greg Lay handled in the box. Damian Lowe is wearing the captain's armband, having worked his way into the starting lineup. Coach of Chapelton Maroons, Bijan Thomas, and coach of Racing United, Anthony Patrick, say they are avoiding relegation from the Jamaica Premier League will be their main objective for the 2024-25 season. Chapelton and Racing were promoted to the country's top league after qualifying through the Jamaica Football Championship. Chapelton beat Racing 2-1 in the final. Thomas says they want to do better than they did in their only ever appearance in the nation's top flight in the 2022-23 season.
The only thing that we've really spoken about is that we want to start strong. The last time the club was in the Premier League, we did not have a strong start, so that is what we're really focusing on.
Bijan Thomas. Patrick, who has had several coaching stints in the Premier League, says they are determined not to be one-season wonders.
Our main objective is to try and do what we have to do to stay in the Premier League. Not a one-off show that we can be there 2024-25 now 2025-26 season. That is the most important goal that we're looking at now.
Anthony Patrick. The last 6 spots to the round of 16 at the European Football Championships were determined today, the last day of group action. The day was highlighted by the biggest shock of the tournament so far, Georgia beating one of the tournament favourites Portugal 2-0 in Gelsenkirchen to qualify as one of the best to third-place teams.
And here's Kvaratskhelia with an opportunity early on and scores. What about that? Sensation. Spiko turns up and it's 2-0 to Georgia. This is amazing.
Despite the loss, Portugal topped the group ahead of Turkey, who defeated Czechia 2-0 in Hamburg. And of course, Czechia is a former Czech Republic. Romania finished top of the group after playing out a 1-1 draw with Slovakia in Frankfurt. The Slovaks went through as one of the top third-place finishers after Belgium, despite a disappointing goalless draw with Ukraine, secured the runner-up spot. The matchup for the round of 16 will see Spain against Georgia, Germany against Denmark, Portugal versus Slovenia, France against Belgium, Romania against Netherlands, Austria versus Turkey, champions Italy against Switzerland, and England against Slovakia. The round of 16 will kick off on Saturday. The West Indies Academy were trailing emerging Ireland by 197 runs at close on day 2 of their second 4-day tour game at the Civil Service Cricket Ground in Belfast. The emerging Ireland were 397 for 7 after dismissing the West Indies Academy for 200 on yesterday's first day. Fionn Hand is not out on 61, but it was Andrew Balbirnie who led the way with 88. He got support from Andy McBride, 64, James McCollum, 40, and Paul Sterling, 32. Joshua Bishop, 2 for 72, and Teddy Bishop, 2 for 35, bagged most wickets for the Academy. Bishop starred for the Academy yesterday with 69 and Naeem Young 29 as the West Indies Academy made it 200 all out. The West Indies Academy trailed the series 1-0 after going down by 72 runs in the first game. In an exciting context at the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium, the West Indies women secured a 1-0. Well, they secured a 6-wicket victory over the Sri Lankans via the Duckworth-Lewis method in the second T20 International, and the Jamaicans have pulled one back, so it's now 2-1 in favor of Jamaica in that Group B game over there in Las Vegas. It's a Copa America against Ecuador, and I'll tell you, it is Mikel Antonio got the goal for Jamaica. I'll tell you from this replay, it came from across. The ball was bouncing around in the Ecuador area, and I think it is West Ham's Mikel Antonio, was it? I'm trying to find out who got that go ahead. Yes, it was Mikel Antonio for Jamaica. He spun almost on a dime to give the Jamaicans a bit of hope in this game. So it's now 2-1 over there in Las Vegas, and the 2-1 in favor of Ecuador. Manager of the under-21 netball team, Suzette Townsend, says competing in the Red Stripe Flavors Netball Jamaica Elite League is good preparation as they get ready to take on the best in the Americas at the Youth World Cup qualifiers in Guadeloupe next month. The Young Sunshine Girls are campaigning as the St. Andrew Shiners in the local Elite League. Townsend says after the tournament, they'll be in shape to take on some of the best in the world.
They're young and effervescent and ready to take on the world. We see it as maybe they looking at an Australia or a New Zealand or whomever, because eventually we'll get to play them after we qualify.
That's Suzette Townsend. Finally, in sports at this time, Josh Curlew and Sabrina Lynn will represent Jamaica in swimming at the Paris Olympic Games. Swimming at the Summer Games will run from July 27 to August 4. Curlew will contest the men's 100 meters butterfly, while Lynn will compete in the women's 50 meters free. They qualified to represent Jamaica with the highest world aquatic points in their individual events. And Curlew says he still can't believe he was selected.
When I received the news about being selected for Paris, I was over the moon. I still am, in fact, as I've been wanting and working for this for as long as I can remember. I still can't believe it's happening. Now that Paris is a reality, aside from working very hard with my coach and teammates, I've been to a few international competitions more recently, such as World Championships in Doha and the Settecoli meet in Rome, in preparation for this possibility. And as exciting as this is, I am trying to remain focused and grounded, putting in the necessary work, as well as continuing to maintain optimum health in preparation for the biggest competition of my life.
Josh Curlew. And it's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Elaene Thompson-Herah is the first woman to win the sprint double at consecutive Olympics? Yes, that's a fact. Elaene Thompson-Herah won the 100 and 200 meters at the 2016 Rio Olympics before repeating the feat at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Yeah, the Olympic Games start in 1 month, exactly a month from today, July 26, with the opening ceremony. And of course, Nationwide 90 FM, the exclusive radio broadcasters of the event in Jamaica, will have all of that for you. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Plan your tomorrow today. Introducing JMMB's Hello Future Retirement Planning website. Figure out how much you'll need to be set for life with our calculated tools and tips at your fingertips. Visit hellofuture.jmmb.com and start your journey to your dream retirement today. Conditions apply.
This outstanding 6'4" athlete credits Jamaica with her first Olympic victory ever.
Jamaica is filled with Olympians.
World record holder McKinley dashes into the lead.
We must never forget the forerunners of Jamaican Olympic greatness.
Coming into the home stretch, it's Wint who challenges the leader.
Win or lose, athletes never forget their Olympic experience.
Merely Notty has devastated another world-class feat. And Hemmings is going to do it. Hemmings wins it. She's the champion.
Win or lose, Jamaicans will cheer the loudest at the Olympics so that the world will never forget who we are.
And Usain Bolt is moving away. And Jamaica retain their title. And the world record has been taken apart. Oh, I say.
From July 26 to August 11, tune in only to Nationwide 90 FM for the coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, because we're here to ensure that you never forget. Nationwide's coverage is powered by our bronze sponsors: National Road Operating and Constructing Company Limited, Grace Foods, Spirits Expression Sports Lounge, Imperial Optical Jamaica, Rainforest Caribbean, and Sunshine Snacks.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
Experience Jamaica's Olympic triumphs in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Houghton's Pharmacy. Houghton's RX Pack for better medication management.
Jamaica's third gold medal at the Olympic Games came in the men's 4x400 meters relay final at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki. The quartet of Arthur Wint, Leslie Lang, Herb McKinley, and George Roden won the final and in the process broke the 20-year-old world record with a time of 3 minutes 03.9 seconds. McKinley's third leg of 44.6 seconds, credited with pulling Jamaica into contention from 10 meters back, is considered one of the greatest relay legs in history. On the last leg, George Roden, the 400 meters champion, and USA's Mal Whitfield, the 800 meters champion, ran virtually shoulder to shoulder, but Roden was able to keep the lead and beat Whitfield by a yard. This gave McKinley his first and only Olympic gold medal.
You just experienced a Jamaican Olympic triumph in Jamaica Gold, a golden spotlight.
Brought to you by Houghton's Pharmacy. Houghton's RX Pack for better medication management.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Special good evening to our YouTubers, yeah? Feel free as always to weigh in on today's Public Opinion right here in our live chat. Alright, now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has called on his supporters of his administration, to unite against defamatory and fake news being circulated on social media. The Prime Minister, while speaking at the Almond Tree Hotel in Ochoria, St. Anne on Saturday, explained that young people are often the ones caught spreading misinformation online. Prime Minister Holness says supporters of his party should instead promote the achievements of the government. However, the opposition, People's National Party, forcefully condemned Prime Minister Holness's intent to clamp down on fake news on social media, viewing it as a direct threat to free expression and privacy. The opposition says while addressing misinformation is crucial, the Prime Minister's approach dangerously overreaches, undermines democratic principles and constitutional rights. So with all that said and done, it's time for you, the public, to chime in. On today's Public Opinion, we ask you, the public, is there a fake news problem in Jamaica? Let's take a look at what folks are saying over on Facebook. I got 10 comments here. Hopefully I can read all of them. We start with Annette Wheeler. Annette says people don't run with positive news, only fake ones. Georgina Bridson? Definitely, people run with fake news. Christopher Isaacs says, That'll be putting it lightly. It's a sustained diet of lies, half-truths, and innuendos that's fast becoming a strategy. CJ says, yes, and the PNP and its associates are the main culprits. Mark Julius says, yes, there's a fake news problem in Jamaica, and we Jamaicans love carry fake news. I'm not talking the media. Now, please don't get me wrong. We citizens love to run with fake news, especially if we hear say somebody drop out, only to hear say nothing no go so. What else do we have here? The silly season is coming up, says Dervon Ennis, so we can expect anything from power-hungry politicians who are out of government for a while. They will spread a lot of propaganda to get back in power. Please don't be fooled by them. Valentino Roshane Anderson says yes. Robert Ranger says yes. Enough on YouTube, and many political bloggers aligned to a political entity to mislead and spew false info to lazy brains. So that's Facebook. We're going over to Twitter now. X, what do folks say over here? Andrew Titus says, yes, there is a problem, but the solution is not intimidation or censorship. You also have the right to free speech and can counter those arguments. If you have an issue with defamatory statements, I think the solution to that is education on how defamation works. That's Andrew Titus. All right, what else do we have here? Portion Master says, this is worldwide. If a egg we want to be in the red. So it's been happening for a while now in Jamaica. Some official media houses have gotten in the mix. Actually, a lot of people start to focus on conspiracy theories more than facts because of fake news for years now. Mr. Earthbound says we have bigger worries than that right now. Crime problems. Archangel 1111 says, oh yes, too many people want to pass off their opinions and beliefs as facts. All right, what else we have here? Someone's here saying, Sweet J.A. Rose says yes, and its level and intensity is bolstered by the media. What else we have here? White Lockup says, thank God I only get mine from Nationwide. All right. Don O'Mealy says, not just Jamaica, it's a global problem. What else we have here? Blessed One says, certainly. Michelle says, yes, it is. Elon Musk admirer says, yes. Optimist says, it's a massive problem. Yeah, Donovan Green says, yes. Rosebud's also saying yes. Tevin Johnson says, yes, there is. The bloggers don't release anything that is truthful, and they get a lot of views and share. So, yes, we do have. What else do we have here? Jacalion says, yes, it's public officials. They have a responsibility to provide accurate and reliable information to the public. And we're going to end with the Think Different podcast that says Jamaica struggles with the spread of fake news, particularly on social media, which can lead to misinformation, confusion, and harm to individuals and communities. All right. What am I forgetting? Where are we going now? Instagram, yeah? Instagram's the last one, and then we check over to our YouTubers. 50 comments on Instagram. Let's go through some of them, yeah? What we got here? All right. Where do we start off with? Burke Y21 says yes, and some people gravitate to the fake news rather than fact checking. Silent Music says, I don't think so. I think most consumers are lazy in their listening of news rather than using their smartphone in their hands to fact check stuff. We are not in the 80s. Each user of social media has a responsibility to ensure whether information they are getting is actually true. All right, Godfrey B443 says first 100 days. Yes. All right, what else we have here? Lisa Riffic 2013 says yes, and there is freedom of speech. Yes, but we have to be careful about what is disseminated. Too much gossip, rumors, and fake news. We need credible info to be spread. What else do we have here, folks? Miss Wright 876 says yes. Black Boy says LMAO from ever since. This is nothing new. All right. Dwight Venn says yes. All right. Political trolls better watch out for karma, says Marquise 01876. Can't understand how anybody in them right mind would have a problem with a system that curbs fake news. Wait till fake news catch you or your friends or your family. And remember, say if you try rebut it, you can't rub it out. All right, folks, that's all we got for public opinion, but we're going to check over to our YouTubers. I've read the comments on those platforms, but now it's time for YouTube. Let me refresh the live chat, see what the folks in the chat are saying. All right, folks, what you saying to me now? Precious Soul says, fake news can cause crime too. All right, so there we go. Precious Soul says the fake news is too much now. It seems as though it's very political. I'm seeing political parties named in our chat. I don't even know if I can read these or not. Is that defamation to even read some of these comments, eh? Both against PNP and JLP. Which one of these do I go with, eh? What do we have here? Travis360 says, yup, lots of fake news right now because a lot of people are trying hard to get traffic to their page to get to the top as well as genuinely cause mischief. Mildred Hamilton says, fake news is part of Jamaicans' culture. Very unfortunate and destructive. Carlene Smith says, counter fake news with real one. If communication is good, then fake news is not a problem. People must know fact from opinion. Denzel M says the media also has a responsibility to fact-check politicians. A lot of fake news coming from a certain press release party. Okay. What else do we have here? Patrick Campbell says they are not properly educated. That to a lot of fake news. All right. What else do we have here? Aisha Morgan says some spread fake news for the likes. Okay. What else do we have here? Josiah Anderson says, no more fake news. There's some comments here I would read, but I can't read insults to people. I'm not going to read comments that are insulting people. That's not fair, right? What else do we have here? Donovan Phillips says, yes, fake news is running the society and mainstream media is also contributing to that by reporting on them. All right. Okay, folks, I think that's it for public opinion this week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Yeah, thank you as always for tuning in. Business reports coming up. Stay tuned, yeah?
Public opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
Don't let poor vision hold your children back. IQ Optical gives complimentary standard reflection-free lenses to children and teachers until May 31. Conditions apply.
The temperature by IQ Optical is...
It's 32 degrees Celsius in Kingston. It's 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome. You're tuned into the Business Report right here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE, is warning listed companies that are tardy with their filing of their financial reports that their shares will be suspended following the rare action it took against two late filers in early June. The two companies have since produced their year-end reports, and they, along with a third company, which was cited for rule breaches, had their suspensions lifted last Friday. Late filings continue to be a significant issue for the exchange. Managing Director of JSE Group, Marlene Street Forrest, at the company's annual general meeting in Kingston said, quote, "It's definitely a problem with the audited financial statements. We have rules governing the filings of these statements, and you would have seen where we have suspended companies that have not filed within time and within the extended period." End quote. Chinese fast fashion firm Shein has filed initial paperwork, taking it a step closer to listing on the London Stock Exchange, the BBC understands. The online retail giant, which is based in Singapore but has extensive operations in China, filed the confidential papers with UK regulators recently, according to sources close to the process. Shein became one of the biggest fashion retailers in the world during the pandemic, but has faced criticism over the environmental impact of its business model. The firm has also come under fire for some of its working practices, which include allegations of forced labor in its supply chain, something the company denies. Both Shein and the UK regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, declined to comment on a potential London listing, which could value the company at about £50 billion. UK members of Parliament have also expressed concern, but Labour's Shadow Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds indicated on Monday that he would welcome Shein listing its shares in London as it would open the company up to closer scrutiny. In a business election debate hosted by Bloomberg, Mr. Reynolds said he had met representatives from the company. And in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 155 Jamaican dollars and 20 cents to buy $1. It cost 197 Jamaican dollars and 1 cent to buy £1 British pound and 114 Jamaican dollars and 4 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
Fraser Price gets the start, and look at this, Ahuri going well, and here they're coming to close it down. Jetta's coming through, but Fraser Price on the near side, the Olympic champion defends! She defends the title! Wonderful run by Celia.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Pizza Hut. Now, that's delivering from all locations, island-wide.
Is your Strata filing its annual returns? In keeping with the Registration Strata Titles Act, Strata corporations are required to submit an audited financial statement or a copy of its accounts, prepared in keeping with generally accepted accounting principles, signed by the chairman and at least one other member of the executive committee. This must be submitted annually to the Commission of Strata Corporations within 120 days after the end of the financial year. For more information, contact the Commission of Strata Corporations at 926-9748-9.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Taste it, eat it, drink it, applaud it. The 25th staging of the Jamaica Observer Tabletop Food Awards, the Caribbean's premier culinary event, powered by MasterCard, takes place Thursday, June 27th, Devon House. The one-night-only evening of excellence in food creation, service and event decor is sponsored by Tasty, Tourism Enhancement Fund, Red Stripe, Johnny Walker, Sagicor, The Best Dressed Chicken, Appleton Estate, Pepsi, Suppligen, Eve, Gold Silver Cinco, Rainforest, Main Event, Island Car Rentals, King Alarm, Megamart and Derriman Trading. Adults 18 years and over. Drink responsibly.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
It's 6:38. Good evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell and it's time for the Nation's Business. And we're going just up north a bit to Haiti to get an update regarding the situation there. The first UN-backed contingent of foreign police arrived in Haiti on Tuesday, nearly 2 years after the troubled Caribbean country urgently requested help to quell a surge in gang violence. A few hundred police officers from Kenya landed in the capital of Port-au-Prince, whose main international airport reopened in late May after gang violence forced it to close for nearly 3 months. It's not immediately known what the Kenyans' first assignment would be, but they will face violent gangs that control 80% of Haiti's capital and has left more than 580,000 people across the country homeless. The force is expected to grow to 2,500 with support from Algeria, Antigua and Barbuda, Bangladesh, Barbados, Belize, Benin, Canada, France, Germany, Jamaica, the Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and Spain. Prime Minister Gary Coney says the Haitian strategy is to restore security house by house, neighborhood by neighborhood, and town by town. The U.S. is the mission's largest financial contributor, providing over $300 million and up to $60 million in equipment. In a statement from the White House, United States President Joe Biden commended all the countries that have pledged personnel and financial support to the Kenyan-led mission. He says the U.S. will continue its diplomatic outreach to encourage more countries to join the effort, saying that what happens in Haiti matters to its neighbors, the region, and the world. Well, joining us to discuss further is Caribbean correspondent at the Miami Herald, Jacqueline Charles. Good evening, Madam Charles. Good evening. I understand you're there with us now, Tyrone, as well?
Yes, I'm with you. Good evening, everyone.
So, Madam Charles, your reaction to the news that the forces from Kenya have finally arrived on Haiti's soil, and the expectation they'll be joined shortly by others from that multinational coalition.
Well, yes. I mean, as you said in your introduction, this is supposed to be a coalition with a strength of 2,500, and the deployment is going to take place in phases. What we saw yesterday was about 200 Kenyans that arrived in country. This also includes support staff. We don't have the exact number in terms of the ratio of police officers to support staff. We know it's small, and then they'll be scaling up. Jamaica will be leading the CARICOM nations. They'll be in charge of that contingent. We do not yet have a date on when we can expect their deployment to occur.
Go ahead, Tyrone. Sorry.
Sure. Given how things have deteriorated on the ground in Haiti, Jacqueline Charles, should Haitians and those well-thinking members of the Caribbean community who are rooting for Haiti to in order to be restored, should they expect with these forces coming in a shock and awe kind of thing, or is this going to be a long war of attrition to restore Haiti?
Well, I think you're two different questions, but it is going to be long, regardless of what happens in terms of the forces, because this isn't just about, restoring security or a breakdown in security. I mean, just in the last couple of months, these gangs have destroyed, vandalized, set on fire police stations, schools. The downtown Port-au-Prince is a no-go zone. The two largest prisons today have basically had a tractor taken through there. They arrested bandits. We're asking, well, where are you going to put them? So that's not something that you're going to be able to build overnight. But then the first part of your question is that, there's a lot of hope among Haitians, who basically have been dealing with this insecurity, not just in 2021 when the president was assassinated, but even before then. This has been a deterioration that has basically ramped up since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. There's a lot of hope. They're expecting miracles to be worked overnight, and I don't know, honestly, what kind of miracles can you get with, 200 warm bodies of individuals that this is their first time in this foreign country. There's a language barrier, there's cultural issues. We still do not know what the mode of operation is, whether the Kenyans and eventually the Jamaicans and the Bahamians, are they going to actually be going out with the Haitian police on gang operations, or are they going to be assigned to what they call a static commission, where they're basically going to be asked to protect, key government infrastructures that we've seen come under attack in the last several months.
Madam Charles, is there any sign that things are starting to, let's use a word here, kind of normalize in Haiti, considering the airport is now back open and the transitional government is now in place, along with the Kenyan forces now arriving? Is there a sign that things are actually getting back off the ground?
Not so much about getting back off the ground. There's an eerie calm, right? For months, the gangs have basically been threatening that they're going to burn the place down. They're going to fight when the Kenyans arrive. And then yesterday, the Kenyans came and things were eerily calm. There wasn't a bullet that was, that was fired. So, and even prior to that, there's been this sort of quietness, although I have to tell you, less than 2 weeks ago, there was a massacre 2 hours north of Port-au-Prince in a rural community where at least 11 people, including a pastor and a pregnant woman, were shot and hacked to death with machetes. So the violence and the danger is still there. It's still real. But the automatic gunfire that people were waking up to every single day, being held hostage in this capital, that sort of subsided. But that's the thing about Haiti. It's like 1 minute it's blowing up and the next minute it's quiet. We just don't know. But it's not because the Kenyans are there. By no means. Something is happening that we don't know yet what it is. Are the gangs re-strategizing? Are they out of ammunition? Are they negotiating? I mean, all of these have been brought up, so we just have to wait and see. But basically, you still have a capital that's being held hostage by gang violence, whether the guns are going off or not.
Stay with us, Madam Charles. We're up on the break.
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I have to say it twice.
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is
6:46. And we're back in the nation's business as we discuss the situation in Haiti, our neighbors up north, and the arrival of just over 200 Kenyan police forces to help stabilize the country. We have with us the Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald, Jacqueline Charles. Ms. Charles, this situation in Haiti as it stands, the transitional government which has been put in place, how has that shaped up in the coming months since their placement?
So the meeting in Jamaica was March 11th. That's where the deal was brokered by CARICOM along with Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to put together a transitional political structure in Haiti. And then we went through a period where I think it was a month before we finally knew who the 9 members were. And I think, less than 2 weeks ago, they finally selected a Prime Minister, Gary Conille, who's a former UN civil servant, and he's put together his government. It's taken them a while to get on their feet, so to speak. We're still trying to see what their priorities are going to be. What it's going to look like. I mean, the Prime Minister has been going around. He's been, meeting people. He's been saying the right things. But, at some point, your actions have to match your words, and people are going to start demanding, results. The problems that have existed in Haiti and that have just deteriorated since this latest flare-up, they're still there. There's still 500,000 people who are struggling trying to find something to eat. There's still over 1 million people facing famine. There's still, tens of thousands of people who have been forced out of their homes just in the last 3 months. And I think the last number I saw from the UN is nearly 580 people who were displaced, basically homeless. They're living in government buildings. They're living in schoolyards. They're living all over the place. Some of them have had to completely abandon Port-au-Prince. So, yes, the airport is up and aid is getting in. But if I send money to my relative today, they have to go to several different money transfer places to try and get the cash because there's a liquidity problem.
And in terms of the reaction on the ground, I know they're among the Haitian people themselves to these UN-backed foreign police personnel coming into the country. Of course, the Haitians have good reason to be wary of these kinds of international peacekeeping efforts. What has been the reaction on the ground among Haitians, especially when one considers that the number is to increase to about 2,500 sometime in the future, with support coming from multiple countries. So how are Haitians reacting to this effort, this iteration of the efforts to get help from outside? How are they reacting?
The reactions of Haitians depends on who those Haitians are and where they sit. if they sit in Miami or they sit, outside of Haiti, a lot of them are opposed to this idea of another quote unquote foreign intervention. This is a sovereign country. Here we go again. This is the fourth time, in 100 years that we now have to have foreign troops on Haitian soil. But if you are Haitian and you are living in this country day in and day out and get up in the morning and don't know if you're going to be alive, at the end of the day, those individuals, they just want help. They want help from wherever they can get it. They don't believe that given the degree of violence and kidnappings that have occurred and that continue to occur, that the Haitian police can do it on their own. And while they may not feel good about the fact that they have to once again look to the international community to come and assist them, they're just happy that there's a presence there. But unfortunately, that means that the stakes are high. This is a huge challenge for the foreigners that are going in, because the expectation is that, as I mentioned, you're going to be working miracles. But what are these miracles? I mean, Haitians want the ability to be able to get up and walk the streets, go to work, go to market like everybody else. They want to have a sense of security. I don't think that that's going to happen overnight. But there's so much that we just don't know. We always say that Haiti's the land of where the impossible becomes possible.
And Ms. Charles, is there a sense, because the governments are obviously tight-lipped, but is there a sense as to when the bulk of that intervention force is going to arrive in Haiti, beyond just the 200 Kenyans that are on the ground now?
So this is going to take place in phases, and from what I'm seeing is that I don't think we're ever going to have 2,500 on the ground in Haiti at one point. I'm not sure. We haven't seen the plans. I mean, the State Department, the U.S. is the largest, financial contributor with $200 million. They, have declined to talk about operation details, citing security matters. But I flew down on a U.S. military aircraft a couple of weeks ago to actually look at the base. From what I saw, that base cannot accommodate 2,500 warm bodies at one time. So what it looks like that it's maybe in terms of rotations, but that it's going to be a phased deployment. So we saw the first deployment yesterday of 200. We're waiting to see if that next deployment is going to come and when it's going to come. But really at this point, the question is how are the MSS and the Haitian police, because they're there to support them, how are they going to work together in order to combat this armed violence?
But I know. Go ahead, Siobhan.
I just wanted to add to that. If there's no expectation that we'll have up to 2,500 at any one time, is there a concern that there won't be enough boots on the ground to stabilize the situation?
Honestly, I don't think that anybody has sort of realized how the numbers are going to work out. As I mentioned, those who have been involved in the planning have been very skittish on not providing any numbers and details. This is just me being nosy and working out the math and trying to realize that, okay, how is this going to happen? I mean, when I last checked, first of all, every police officer that goes there or the defense soldier, they have to get vetted by the United States. Okay, the U.S. is doing the vetting. There are 400 Kenyans, 400 of the 1,000 had already been vetted. That's why you kept hearing that number 400 this week. The Jamaicans and the other Caribbean contingents, there are 350. So as we stand now, there are at least 750 individuals between our region and Africa that are ready to be deployed to Haiti. Are they all going to be deployed at one time? No. Are they all going to be able to be there at one time? That is a question. This base was put up in record time. Right now, there is only one base. It is in Port-au-Prince. But if the intention is that you're also going to have some of the members of the MSS spread out elsewhere outside of Port-au-Prince, because the gang problem is also spreading elsewhere, then I can see where they can deploy additional bodies. But right now, a lot of it is unknown to us because they haven't shared those details.
Which makes me even more cautious to pitch this other one to you, Jacqueline Charles, because there's not a lot of information out there. The contingent of Kenyans arriving on Tuesday, have they hit the ground running? Are they already out in the streets?
Well, we had the Prime Minister today visited the base, and visited, them. But again, guys, I think that remember, this is the first time that these individuals have arrived in Haiti. This isn't even like where you're going to have soldiers from Jamaica, Trinidad, and the Bahamas who maybe were in Haiti 10 years ago or 14 years ago when there was an earthquake. I mean, this is a completely new territory to them. I don't think you and I would hit the ground running in Haiti. We'd never been there and just got there yesterday. I think we need to give it some time. They need to acclimate themselves. Get used to the surroundings. First of all, figure out where they are. I still don't know how to drive and get myself around, around Haiti, probably because I did rely a lot on my drivers. But I think we need to just be a little bit patient.
Mm. So there may be a lag time, week or two before they even integrate into the crime fighting efforts.
Again, I don't know in terms of what that lag time is going to be. I mean, there's been a lot of planning on paper that have been done in preparation for this mission. So now the warm bodies are there. There is a commander, Gabal. He went down with this group, so he is there. He is going to be coordinating with the Haitian counterparts. Also, you have to remember Haiti just changed their police chief last week, so he was not a part of the discussions or the planning. So everybody has to first get to know each other, and then let's figure out what the plans are, and then see where the operations. What we do know is that 24 hours after they've arrived, things are still a little bit quiet. The police are still out there doing their job. They're not depending on the Kenyans to basically come in and sort of save the day. They've been at it nonstop, at least since last year. They have lost at least 16 police officers this year to armed gangs who have killed them. The gangs have also taken over the police station. So they are very happy for this sort of backup. But again, it's figuring out, how are we going to operate? How are we going to move together? And that's what we're waiting for. The mission needed to send rules of engagement to the UN Security Council before the deployment. We understand that those rules are there. We have not seen them yet. Once we actually see that in writing, then we will be able to have a little bit of an idea in terms of how this force is going to operate on the ground.
Oh, okay.
How many police stations have the gangs taken over in Haiti? Do you know?
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's a number of police stations that the gangs have taken over. They've torched, they've bulldozed, but there are 16 police officers already this year that have died. More than 50 in I think in the last 2.5 years. No, the numbers are horrendous in terms of police officers who have been killed and also police stations that have been attacked.
Oh, 16. Wow.
That is the Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald, Jacqueline Charles. Thank you for joining us for that update, Ms. Charles.
Jacqueline Charles.
Yes, thank you.
Before we go, though, update regarding the Jamaica versus Ecuador match in the Copa America Cup. It seems Ecuador is up 3. Jamaica is at 1 with, I believe, 2 minutes. 1 minute left in overtime. So unless a miracle happens in the next few seconds, it would seem Jamaica is going to be out of the Copa America. Yeah. So Tyrone?
Little rhythm, but blues for the boys.
Oh, dear.
My goodness. This is bad, man. This Reggae Boyz team, I'm not sure. They have... it's I support them. We lose our draw, but yeah, this team, they don't look like they're gonna. It needs some tweaking. Something needs to happen. I'm not sure what it is, but something needs to happen.
Well, the one lone goal for us scored by Antonio, Michael Antonio. But looking at the stats here, we only had 6% of the shots on goal. So does it look like we really put together our best foot there?
Yeah, they dominated in the first half. Ecuador did, and of course they went 2-0 up. We got a goal back, and yeah, they just got they hit us on the counter attack just now, and the game is over. That's it. Ecuador downed the boys 3-1 in the Copa America. Yeah, that's it for the Reggae Boyz. But we should have gotten a penalty there, doing. I see Leonard Seville
saying that we were robbed of a penalty.
Yeah, because the penalty that they awarded against us, VAR awarded that penalty after that review, VAR review, the penalty was awarded by the referee. That seemed very harsh. Then something slightly similar happened with the Ecuador play in the box, which would put Jamaica 2-2, and they didn't give us the penalty. I think that was a poor decision there. Given how soft the penalty against Jamaica was, they should have given that one.
Well, unfortunately, our boys are coming back home shortly. It's a disappointment, but we at least thank them for representing Jamaica and doing their best for us at the Copa America. Well, after this, we have the Watchman, and followed by that, Think Like a Stockbroker, and then your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7 o'clock.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening, wooing the diaspora. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. These words, inscribed on the Statue of Liberty, which were once true, are today something less than that. America, which prides itself on being a country of immigrants, has become selective in deciding who can enter its borders to pursue the American dream. Surveys of new legal immigrants to the U.S. show a larger percentage of immigrants having university degrees compared to native-born Americans. In 2022, among immigrants who arrived in the U.S. since 2010, 45% had a bachelor's degree or higher. By some estimates, up to 75% of Jamaicans with higher education credentials live in the U.S. In one of his recent diatribes, the 45th U.S. President Donald Trump, who has said if elected he will implement the largest mass deportation in the country's history, promised one exception. Those who obtained tertiary education qualification would, along with their graduation diploma, be handed a green card to continue living and working in the country. There is a growing opinion in some quarters that developing countries like Jamaica should take advantage of the changing trends in the US and other OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development countries, toward immigration by adopting a policy of training professionals and skilled labor for export. There is a countervailing view, backed by research, that in the age of globalization, when talent is the essential ingredient that produces growth, such a policy ultimately succeeds only in keeping the sending country mired in perpetual underdevelopment. The answer to the dilemma is to woo persons in the Jamaican diaspora to continue sending remittances, but also to invest in the Jamaican economy. And when their aging bones can no longer withstand the cold climes of foreign, to eventually return to live in Jamaica to share their first world knowledge, skills, and work ethic in helping build the Jamaican society and economy. To that end, at the recently concluded 10th Biennial Diaspora Conference, one would have noticed a welcome change in the tone of the conversation toward restarting the courtship between the government and Jamaicans living abroad. It's too soon to start singing, "We're getting married in the morning," but the relationship is back on track, and both parties seem willing to work towards consummation. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trench Town, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, meet a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paint's 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Some see the glass half empty, others see the glass half full. You check if there's water in the tap, because smart investors think ahead. This is Sagicor Investments. Think like a stockbroker, giving you a clearer perspective on the investment markets.
Good evening, listeners, viewers, and welcome to the season finale of Think Like a Stockbroker, where we give you the information and insights that you need to navigate the market. Joining me again is Jodian Ayres. She's Sagicor Investments Assistant Vice President for Research and Strategy. Good evening, Jodian.
Hi, Siobhan. How are you?
Doing quite well.
Nice.
Well, since we're wrapping up for a while, let's give the listeners something to think back on before we go forward. Last week, we touched on interest rates and how, in most of the key markets, they're going down. Can we just do a recap as to how this affects investment?
You'll notice that there could be shifts in terms of the prices for companies on the stock market, and we'll naturally expect some changes in bond prices. And so what is really key is that you start to think about how it is that you can position your portfolio in order to benefit from a change in terms of how it is that interest rates are planning to move, right? And as investors, we want to buy into the future. So we won't be waiting until we start to see these low levels in terms of interest rates before it is that we start to make a change. So we want to think, what are the companies that are most likely, or what sectors are most likely to benefit from a dip in terms of interest rates? And then, seeing that we're still in somewhat of a high interest rate environment, it is probably a case where these companies are not performing at optimal, and you could be able to purchase in these companies now at what we consider to be fair prices, and then, see a uptick in your portfolio once it is that the rates start to come down and these companies start to perform, at their optimal levels. And so it's quite important, particularly when you have shifts in terms of how market dynamics change, that we look at our portfolio and we start to do what we call some amount of rebalancing, some amount of shifting. And if we think back to how it is that we would have shifted our portfolio when we'd have gone through the COVID period and we would have been seeing high inflation and we saw high interest rates coming, and we'd have done more of what we call a defensive stance. So we'd have put more in terms of consumer staples. So these are companies that persons will still be needing their goods and services regardless of the type of environment that we are in. And they would have probably, would have shifted away from discretionary items. If interest rates are going up, I'm probably paying a little bit more for mortgage or car loan. So, those discretionary items I would probably pull back on as a consumer. However, if it is interest rates are going down, we could see that, we have a little bit more cash back in our hands if it is that rates go down. So, we see probably a downward adjustment in mortgage or car loans. And so with that as extra income, I could do more discretionary spending as a consumer. And those areas will start to see more pickup as it is. So as an investor, I'd want to tap into that.
I noticed during that you spoke about rebalancing our portfolios. Can you go more in depth into that? What does that mean exactly?
Sure. So one of the things to remember is that your portfolio isn't static. It's not something that you set and you just walk away from. It's something that requires periodic adjustments, because even if it is that you haven't bought or sold any shares, the prices for these shares adjust or they change over time. And as such, your portfolio will look different from when it is that you'd have probably bought or sold shares over a 2-year period if you haven't done anything to it. And so it is very key, particularly to rebalance, especially when there is some sort of major shift in the economic environment. And in our case, I've been just talking about interest rate movements, inflation coming down would be major changes. And so it would be important to do some amount of rebalancing. So rebalancing is really selling assets in your portfolio or buying more assets to put inside of your portfolio. And you really do this buying and selling in order to readjust to what we consider to be your target asset allocation. To explain that a little further, when it is that you're starting your investment journey and you meet with a advisor, and I naturally would recommend a Sagicor Investments wealth advisor, right? And you meet with an advisor, they'd ask you questions about to determine your risk tolerance, your risk appetite, your investment horizon, what are your goals. And coming from that, they'll develop somewhat of a profile as to what it is that you as an investor should partake in, the type of assets and, within what areas in a particular asset class that you'd want to have. And so you develop what it is for you, a target asset allocation based on that profile. Over time, as you said, prices move. So you may find that there's a shift in your target asset allocation just by market price movement. And so rebalancing helps us to bring back our portfolio in target. And also another factor we have to consider is that as we mature, our profile can change. So Jodian at 25 is more risky than Jodian at 45, at 50, heading to retirement, probably have a different focus. So it's important to rebalance your portfolio as time goes by and over periodic periods.
In this matter of rebalancing, outside of economic indicators and what you point to as risk analysis, what are the other items that people would have to take into consideration when they're doing that rebalancing?
So you may buy a particular asset thinking it's going to do this, but then something happens and it doesn't materialize as planned. So part of what rebalancing does is that it shows you companies that are doing well in your portfolio and those that are not doing so well. So you may at this point realize that I need to probably exit a particular position because it's not achieving for me what it is that I wanted it to do. And so that could be one thing. Or you may find that you would have bought a company years ago and then now you're looking back at your portfolio and the demand for that product or service is not really there. And so it's really just dragging down your portfolio. You may have also bought a particular company and you realize that this is now doing well and you want to purchase more of it, or you want to sell a portion of it and participate in gains and use it for something, within your life. So it's helps you to look at your portfolio not just on a holistic level, but individual, to see what's performing, what's doing well, and what could I take gains from, and what positions I need to exit if they're underperforming.
Interesting. So times change and we have to change with them.
Basically.
And speaking of times changing, Nvidia is again in the news. We touched on it a couple of weeks ago, but now I understand that it's jostling for that top position as one of the most valuable companies in the world in terms of market capitalization. Can you give us some more insights on that?
Sure. So recently, I think their market capitalization would have hit close to about 3.3 trillion US dollars. And what market capitalization looks at is the value of the shares for that particular company. So it looks at all the outstanding shares that a company has and the price, and then it comes up with that value for all of those shares. And it would have touched on the highest market cap, I think sometime in this month. And so between itself and Apple and Microsoft, we see, depending on how those prices move, it, goes back and forth. And one of the things is that as investors, it's something to look at, because if a company is seeing an upward movement in that market capitalization, it's really driven by an increase in price. So if it is that you are a current shareholder in a company that is are ascending to being, leader in terms of market capitalization, what that means is that, the price of that stock is going up. But for those of us who would not have had shares in the company, you might now become very peaked. Your interest might be peaked to say, probably I should be having this. And what you don't want to do as savvy investors is to be purchasing right at the top, because there could be a pullback. And then you'd have bought at the very top, and it takes a while before it is that you could likely see some sort of price appreciation for that stock. So what it is that we do at Sagicor Investments, or what it is that's recommended, is also performing what we call technical analysis, which is looking at the price movements of a particular stock to determine, what's that price movement likely to be going forward. So we'd look at it and we'd see, based on a 3-year or 6 months period, how it is that, the company, the price may have bottomed out at a particular point. There is some sort of a resistance at this point. And these are factors that we consider when it is that we're doing our equity recommendations. So, for example, when it is that you look at a review done by Sagicor Investments team, there's normally a target price for the company. And part of what informs that target price is that there is some sort of technical analysis that's done by the team to inform where is it that we think that price could go as well.
I know Nvidia is essentially riding high on this AI boom, one of those mega forces that we discussed a while back. Are there any other companies in the AI space that is quite rapidly growing, and how does an investor now take advantage of these very transformative technology?
So there are quite a few that are in that space. So you don't want to also not think about just from the software end of it. You also have companies that would provide in the hardware materials. So you have the semiconductor space that will be doing some sort of support for companies who are looking to launch into AI. So there are quite a few that are in that space and, have the potential to do very well based on the expected increased demand that we're expecting to see for artificial intelligence. But I'd say to caution us as investors that you have to as well have some information on the technology itself, right? So you don't want to make an investment in a company just on the sole basis that it is operating in artificial intelligence. There are certain unique attributes for particular segments or fields. Investor, we may not have that full technical knowledge because we don't work in the space, but we still need to be somewhat aware of what it is that is very unique or specific about a particular company in order, to have a judgment call as to whether or not it would be something that we should invest in. And similarly with any other stock, you want to make sure that the financial health of the company is good. So even though there could be increase in demand for a particular product and we see revenue line, increasing, what's the cost of production for this? It could be very high, and that doesn't material too much in terms of our gross profit and what is needed in terms of the cost. They may have to invest in heavy debt in order to offer this product. So we also want to make sure that whatever it is that we're investing in is sound financially. It's not just on a hype of we expect this to do well, but we want to go a little bit deeper. And as usual, our Sagicor Investments team would be looking, that deep dive in terms of what it is that companies are likely to perform, what they're likely to do. We're deep diving in terms of having an understanding of some of those unique attributes and where it is that you could best position yourself. And so I'd recommend, if you're looking into artificial intelligence, to reach out to your Sagicor Investments wealth advisor.
Yeah, and certainly in the AI space now, you have a lot of companies that are just capitalizing on the word AI and not necessarily have any actual function, but just using that word sometimes would give them a boost. And I assume that Sagicor Wealth Advisors will help you navigate those kind of pitfalls.
Definitely. And I think one of the things we'd have seen also is what we call meme stocks, which are just stocks that would have gotten some sort of hype from social media and persons, because of that, you see the stock price starting to rise, but you may not know what the stock is really investing. Nothing about it, but there's just a certain euphoria associated with it and persons running. And the Sagicor Investments wealth advisor generally has that information to say, hey, there isn't, the fundamentals that we typically look for in a particular company. This may not be a good investment in terms of a long-term play. This is high risk based on the fact that we not have full details. We don't have financial performance. The company has not indicated to us a a sensible plan going forward, then maybe this is something that, if you invest in, the price could plummet, and we'll give that sort of advice.
Well, Jody, as usual, we like to leave our listeners with a stock pick for the week. What do you have for us this week?
So this week we'll be talking about the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And the Jamaica Stock Exchange is actually a listed entity on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So as investors, you can buy and sell shares in the company, which is the Jamaica Stock Exchange Group. What this allows for is an opportunity for investors to benefit from their other trading activities, because what happens is that they earn income largely from fee income. And as investors, when it is that we buy and sell on the stock exchange, there's actually a charge, and the stock exchange benefit from that fee income. So if it is that you buy back into the company that is charging you the fee, there's an opportunity there to be gaining a little bit from what it is that you're spending with that company. When it is that we look at the numbers for the Jamaica Stock Exchange, if we looked at the audited financials for full year 2023, we'd have noticed somewhat of a dip in that bottom line. However, when it is that we look at the quarter results for Q1, which should have been at the end of March, we're noticing somewhat of an uptick. And part of that, I think, is a result of an increase in terms of trading activities. So trading activity has actually been going up. So we're seeing more stocks trading happening in the Q1 quarter, and that would have had a positive impact in terms of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Also of note is that they would have held their annual general meeting towards the end of June. And coming out of that, they would have announced that they are revamping the Jamaica Stock Exchange mobile app. So it's another avenue that would facilitate an opportunity to do more investing. And that's good news for us as investors, but it's also good news if it is that you're looking at the Jamaica Stock Exchange as a company itself, because if there are more opportunities for persons to trade, then that could feed into increased revenue for the company. Another thing to note, I think the price for that company actually has been dipping towards the end of June. So there is somewhat of an opportunity at this point, if it is that it's something that you're considering, seeing that there is now a little bit of a dip in the price when the company is expected to see somewhat of an uptick, particularly as we go into an era where we're expecting interest rates to dip, and we could see more or return to more activity on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So as usual, the Sagicor Investments research team has prepared a fulsome review on this company and others, and as such, I recommend that you reach out to a Sagicor Investments wealth advisor to get further information on this stock or anything that we'd have talked about today or over the season that we'd have been talking.
Thank you, listeners, viewers, for joining us on this journey to thinking like a stockbroker. Thank Jody Ann and all her insightful information as she has led us through these last few weeks. Please join us again in the future.
That was Sagicor Investments. Think like a stockbroker. Smart investors think ahead. Join us on Nationwide 90 FM, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for Sagicor Investments. Think like a stockbroker. When you build wealth with Sagicor Investments, you never have to settle for less than your dreams. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor so Sagicor Investments can help you create, grow, and preserve your wealth.
This summer, transform your summer body with Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
After months of preparation, Jamaica's top athletes clash at the J3A Puma National Senior and Junior Championships. June 27 to 30. 4 days of intense action will determine who's ready for the Summer Olympics in Paris. Tickets are available at Jamaica Pegasus, National Stadium Ticket Office, and MysticOnlineTix.com. Season ticket finish line, 8,000. Season tickets regular grandstand, 6,500. Daily tickets range from 1,000 to 3,500. Tickets go on sale at the Pegasus and the Stadium Ticket Office. Monday, June 24, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The J3A Puma National Senior and Junior Championships, June 27 to 30 at the National Stadium. It will be sensational.
Welcome back, listeners. Before we take the break, remember it's time for your calls, and the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
My name is Miara Armstrong and I attend Stella Maris Preparatory School, and my Olympic hero is Elaine Thompson Hero.
Elaine Thompson Hero takes the gold medal here.
I think it motivates me to represent myself as well, to build my brand, and I'm just happy for our small country with less than 3 million people. So I am just excited to be a part of my culture, my country celebrating, winning, doing everything that we love,
It's Elaine Thompson Hera who successfully defends her Olympic title.
Stay tuned to the Paris Olympics on Nationwide 90 FM. Woo!
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM.
Is that really Cliff you stalking?
Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Was Cliff News really talking like that?
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Welcome back, listeners, for what is to be the third and final hour for Nationwide News. As we said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. St. Bess, you're on the line.
Good evening, St. Bess.
Good evening, sir.
Yes. I'd like to recite a poem that I made up while I was in the traffic, feeling wounded from the match that I just watched.
Go ahead.
Heights of patriots, reached and kept, were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions kept parties and was dancing through the night. That is my poem.
Tyrone, what do you make of that?
I am hurt, Stefan. I'm discharged.
That sounds like a Bailey Bridge, man.
Our luck thereof. we needed a Bailey Bridge to get over to a good result today, but it was not to be. I will try not to speak from emotions. Right. I have a lot of fond memories as a little boy growing up in St. Louis, watching the Reggae Boyz play, even going to Santa Cruz and seeing buses being loaded. Stadium, they are taking trips to the stadium, especially when Walter Boy would go play. The whole center would be empty to go and watch the Pearl.
The Black Pearl, man. The best thing to ever put on a Jamaica shirt.
Oh, God, man. And to see now where we have, when I put up quotation marks, international quality ballers who do not want to play international football.
No disrespect to these guys, though. But none of them are as good as Walter Boyd.
No disrespect. No disrespect.
Right.
But
now,
to
Walter
see where
Boyd
we
was...
have gone now to say, okay, we are producing quality athletes that can play on the world stage.
They're enjoying more success, I would say.
And due to, I don't know, I don't want to say politics, something has gotten involved in the football. So to a point where a player can be not sitting on the national colors. Nobody wants to see this because we know that our best team wasn't out there today. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for the boys that went. They showed commitment and they went out there and they put whatever they had to put aside. And I'm thanking them for the sacrifice that they have made. But I am crying shame on all of
it may have not been our best team, but it perhaps was our most patriotic team.
Yes.
And I stand by those boys who went and represented the green and the gold.
I stand by them too. And I am, as I said, I'm trying to make this conversation void of emotions, but I'm not very happy this year. Not very happy. No, because I know that a little spark up at the top there would have made a big difference today. Giving those defenders an additional threat to take care of would have been really tremendous. And I mean, this sticking out for first class flight and personal security and some of these things, I think they are trivial. I don't think anybody who has a made up mind to go and go and represent their country would put something like those 5 points that Mr. Bailey put up as his reason. The 5 reasons don't speak to me to say that this person's patriotic. They really want to go. It's just like a cop out.
I can't fault the JFF. The JFF has put many a foot wrong. Well, I can't fault them for this decision involving Liam Bailey, though, I must tell you. I can't fault them.
They're definitely not without blame, Tyrone.
Right.
But as I said, I know, all right, I'm a farmer. When I want to get something done, I will move heaven and earth to get it done. Right? If Liam Bailey really wanted to play for his country, the fact that a blogger put a microphone in his face, he would not have asked for a personal security. First class flight and no one room and oh God.
My brother, look here, man. I don't get me started on that. You know, I will lose the match and I don't want to, you know. Yeah. But let me see if I can change the subject slightly. Fusion 365 TV on our YouTube channel saying Tyrone Walter Boyd is not the best to ever put on a Jamaican. Who is the best then? Tell me. To me, Walter Blacker Boyd, aka the Black Pearl, is the best footballer I've seen in a Jamaican shirt.
Nobody else can ram that stadium. Walter Boyd make it think for champs to keep a stadium. The crowd was that big. It's only when Walter Boyd and champs keep in the stadium ram like that. And I see buses loading.
But do you rate footballers by how?
To watch Pearl.
Well, we don't rate footballers by the crowd them bring in. We rate them by the talent, right?
No, but talent-wise, Siobhan, nobody comes close to Walter Boyd, I don't think. Talent-wise,
Siobhan, lad, I must have that crowd not came to see the Pearl.
Yeah.
Have you, Siobhan, Walter Boyd, the legend of Walter Boyd is defenders used to push each other to say, no, you go tackle. Nobody wants to tackle him. That's the legend of Walter Blacker Boyd. I'm telling you, I grew up watching Jamaican football, Shell Cup and whatnot, and I'm telling you, the Pearl is the best thing I've seen in a Jamaican shirt. some people say Alan skill cool, but the Pearl is the best. I didn't really see skill cool.
I didn't get to see Alan.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Sir Alan skill cool, but I saw Walter Boyd, and let me tell you, Walter Boyd scored a goal. Walter Boyd scored a goal at the Azteca in a loss. 2-1 was loss to Mexico at the Azteca. And let me tell you something, man. It was a peach of a goal, I'm telling you. The Pearl, trust me, the Pearl is the best Jamaican I've seen.
Well, I was waiting to see what Fusion 360 TV would say to what he would consider the best, but I haven't seen a response yet. So
Costas Brown said Paul Tika Davis. He's a man who delivered a lot of goals for us, particularly in the 89th minute, because he became known for those goals. But nah, man, the Pearl was
and the opposite end of the field, Tyrone, because I know we don't tend to give defenders a lot of credit, but I used to love the tenacious vibe of Ian Goodis. It's like he make up his mind and say, nobody now pass me today. No.
That is a Jamaican man. The man they play with them. The man they play with them hard on them sleeve of them jersey, man. He had one called Shorty Malcolm. Man, the Tasmanian devil. Nothing past him. I'm telling you, those men took representing Jamaica differently.
Yeah.
It meant something to them to wear the shirt.
Well, Leslie Robinson says Whitmore accomplished more than Walter Boyd.
No, we're talking about talent, man. We're not talking about who accomplished more. You can't argue that Liam Bailey accomplished more. Liam Bailey is not even in the same stratosphere as Walter Boyd when it comes to talent.
Anyways, I was a Warren Barrett man myself, though. I prefer the goalkeeping.
Yeah, arguably our best goalkeeper.
Very good. Both ends are equally important. So thanks again,
Fusion TV said the stats don't support my argument. Give me a player, no? Give me a player. Give me a player, Fusion TV. You haven't said anything. Lenny Hyde. Somebody says Lenny Hyde. Patrick Samuels. Lenny Hyde was a big baller. Well, Lenny is stamping at the middle of the park at trouble. He was a good baller. He was a good baller.
Yeah, man. So Tyrone, thanks again for the trip down memory lane. I think I will sleep a little bit better tonight.
Cooler, man. Anglia Bangle, man. Take it easy.
All right, Carl, you're on the line. You want to talk about football or politics tonight?
Politics, man.
No, man. Look here. Next caller, man. Carl, we don't want to talk about politics. Reggae Boyz.
No, we don't talk about politics tonight.
Joke. Go ahead.
Tyrone.
Talk it out, man. We're there. But tell me, though, before you tell me the politics, best footballer you've ever seen a Jamaican shirt?
Walter Boyd.
Look here, no, man. I best thing ever since you call the program.
But he never want to behave himself. I love that.
Yeah, there is that, and had that side of things been different, I think Walter Boyd would have been perhaps Jamaica's greatest export when it comes to football. The man was, Siobhan, he was immensely talented, I'm telling you,
Darren, you don't have to tell me that. I come from that generation. I remember the 98 World Cup.
You saw him play, Siobhan?
Yes, I remember the 98 World Cup and all of those.
Look here, man. If Walter Boyd was born somewhere else and didn't have the behavioral troubles that, he ran into, or the difficulties with René Simoes and whatnot, let me tell you, man, Walter Boyd was top footballers.
I think him and Brian Lara can stand up to success. But
he and what?
Man, Brian Lara.
What do you mean they can't what?
Can't stand up and then get success.
I don't know. You draw Brian Lara in this now.
All right. Anyhow, British, Jefferson, Mark, Golding, England.
British, Jamaica.
Pernell Charles Jr.
We have this conversation already, British, Jamaica.
Pernell Charles Jr. asked him some question last night. We're waiting for the answer. And the next thing, the PMP used to have a press conference every week. And since the British argument come up, I don't know if that gone to England. So if we go take one flight, it's good if we go find out what go on. If I over there press conference, I keep me don't know. Anyhow, come back to Jamaica. So we have to be careful. We continue to talk about the British business and whatever happened in our country, we enlight it. I don't know if you see what going on Mandela Highway yesterday with the 50 garbage truck. Tyrone.
No. I wouldn't be able to see it. I'm sorry.
50. Everyone, this is our history now.
Wasn't it 100? How many actually came?
50 did come before. 50. You must keep up with your news, no man. You can't. You're young, man.
No, but if you keeping on with it with me, Carl, I don't have to worry. You will come and inform me. Whatever the government agenda is, I'm sure you will come and inform me.
Well, that's true.
Carl, drop the catch, you know. A cricketer used to play Carl. You know, drop the catch.
Yes, man, cricket. Anyhow, 50 garbage truck line up on Mandela Highway yesterday. And that by out of the taxpayer revenue, not borrow like in the 90s. 300 JUTC bus come July are bought out of the taxpayer money, not like in the 90s where that borrow. The piece of road we built from Harborview to Port Anthony, the taxpayer revenue. The bypass in Montego Bay, same thing, the taxpayer revenue. So, what you have to say, Tyrone, we should apply those things. That's true.
This is where you get to shine.
Well on, Tyrone, man, you can't do that. So that means this is your great-grand-pitney or your grand-pitney debt come down when we now borrow to do those things. And the next question we will ask for Tyrone, which government in our office?
You sound muffled, Carl. I not hear you.
No, me say, which government in our office a perform so?
You tell me, no?
The Jamaica Labour Party. Tyrone, I agree with you.
You should have ended with, you know, say shower. I think you're going to say shower.
No, man. Tyrone, I agree with you this morning with what the Prime Minister said. We need some more clarification on what him said. What him are going to do to stop this whole pile of lying in a people business on social media. I agree with you.
Including some of the supporters of your own party.
Yes, Tyrone. Yes, Tyrone. Now I'm going
to I hate to cut you off, but I understand we have a bit of breaking news coming in from our sports editor, Wayne Walker.
That's denounce the British citizenship?
No, man. That's not it.
It's sports. It's Olympics related, Carl, so we have to leave you there. But we have some breaking news coming from Wayne Walker. Yeah. Wayne, go ahead. We have you on. We understand you have some big news coming.
Hey, Siobhan. Hey, Tyrone. How are you guys doing?
How are you doing, Sir Wayne?
Yes, man. And Tyrone, especially great. But, you know, we had to endure together a really horrible, well, not horrible season, but one that we want to forget very quickly and just hoping for August to come around, you know?
I think the third time will be the charm, man.
Let's hope so. Well, I tell you what, just a short time ago, we got news that Elaine Thompson-Herah, who was looking to become the first female and only the second individual behind Usain Bolt to win the 100, 200 meters double at the Olympic Games, that dream, well, it was over before, because in order for her to go back to the Olympic Games, she has to be at the national championship, and she had only entered for the 100 meters. So the dream of winning the double for treble time, that was out of the window. But she had still entered for the 100 meters, and just 2 days before the start of that national championship, she's withdrawn. In fact, today is Wednesday, so it's tomorrow the national championship begins. And so she's withdrawn from the 100 meters, which means altogether she'll not be at the Olympic Games. Her management team and the sports management, a short time ago, they released a statement, and they simply said Elaine will not be able to defend her titles at the Olympic Games, and they're wishing her well, and they're hoping that her supporters and her sponsors and everybody get behind her to sort of, you know, jeer her up as she go into the rest of the year and ultimately start the new season. Next year, it's going to be a World Championships in Tokyo, Japan. But the real story is many people were looking forward to that clash between Elaine and Sherika and Shelley and the other young guns who are coming for the second tier to sort of, you know, get the National Stadium buzzing on Friday night. Elaine will not be there, and it is sad. It's something that you see coming, but you were hoping, because on June 9, she ran in New York at the New York Grand Prix, and she trailed Sha'Carri Richardson. In fact, she was last in the event and had to be taken off the track by some officials. And then her previous race, She finished last again. So the results were not coming, even though at this stage, a month before, in fact, today is exactly 1 month before the start of the Olympic Games. The results were not what she was looking for. She just wanted to see what form she was in. Could she power out of the block? Could she turn on the afterburners 70 meters, 60 meters after the race, and that superb top-end speed to take her to victory? So those technical areas she wanted to see where she was. And they were just not there. There was no power coming out of the blocks. She was one pace after 40 meters. The Elaine Thompson era that we all know, the second fastest woman in history with 10.5854. She would have turned it on after 60 meters and the field would have been blown away. That didn't come in New York and it didn't come the previous week. And then, it sent tongues wagging. Will she, won't she? And then we got news that she went over to Germany to have a check with that famous doctor, Dr. Muller-Bullisat. And apparently, if she did go there, then clearly he would have said to her, no, don't push it, it can't work. And so today, the official announcement came that Elaine Thompson, the hero, will not be going to the Olympic Games.
And that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate news there, Wayne Walker. Unfortunate news.
She left 2016 with the 100-meter goals, the 200-meter goal, and in 2020 she retained the 100-meter and the 200 and picked up the 4x100. It seems she will not be able to hold on to her medals for the 2024 Olympics.
She won't be able to defend it. And you see, unlike the World Championship, Siobhan and Tyrone, where the winners of the previous World Championship get a bite to the next World Championship, then it would have been fine. But they don't offer buys for the Olympic Games. And I'm going to say this, and it's not playing down the World Championship. It's just the reality that the Olympic Games is just top of the tops, and they want you to work hard to get there. Not that World Athletics would want you to work to get back to the World Championship, but that's their way of doing it. It's two different organizations, and they have different rules. So if she was a world champion, then she would get a bye, and then she would have like 2 months to get ready for it. It doesn't work like that at the Olympic Games. And unfortunately, she won't benefit from a bye. And another thing, the World Championships used to be every 4 years, and they changed it to every 2 years. And since COVID, they've had it every year. So much so they're going now back to the 2-year cycle. They've worked it around because Budapest was last year, Tokyo is going to be next year. But for the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 2028, that's going to be tough for her because sprinters, unlike other people like jumpers and so on, their shelf life isn't as long, So she'll have to wait another 4 years to see if she could get back to the Olympic Games. But it's sort of hard, and it's one of the reasons why this treble double is so hard to do.
It's real tough news. It's real tough news, Wayne. Wayne, you've covered. You're one of the best doing this. You've covered a number of these major games. With Elaine pulling out, there won't be that storyline of repeating that double for the Olympics. Does that rob a little of the luster from the games, you think?
Yes, it does. It does. And not only the historic significance of that moment, if it was to be, it's a huge deal, but also because whenever the United States is strong in sprinting is healthy. The global shoes companies, they make a lot of money off it. USADA, which is, the U.S. track and field, global track and field benefits from it. And she would be attempting at a time when America has discovered / produced the real untouchable in global female sprinting at the minute. Shaq, she's really a treat at the minute. And then people just believe that Elaine operating at 95% could push her, could give her the sort of challenge that a lot of people believe that she won't get. And so because of that reason in particular, it's disappointing. And the storylines, I mean, just imagine you're in Paris and people like L'Equipe or French TV 2 or Europe 1, any one of the big broadcasters in Europe, to pick that up. And track and field, Europe is track and field's heartland. Elaine against Shaq, against Shelley, against Sharika, against Marie-Josée Talou from the Côte d'Ivoire. That's a storyline. It was bound to be, if they were all fit, the race of the Olympic Games. No question about it. The men don't provide this kind of thing. The organizers must be very, very, very disappointed to hear this news.
So Sha'Carri takes it then?
I think she goes into Paris as the favorite at the very least, because as you know, these global championships, and it's not unique to athletics, it's sports generally. When you go to a global championships, what you do going in is just for the purposes of deciding who will start favorite and what to expect. It's what you do when you're there that counts. And there's so many things that can happen because you domicile in one spot for a month sometimes, and you may get bored. You're used to your home cooked meals. Suddenly you don't get that. You're sharing an area with people. There's so many things, which is why when people like Usain and Carlos and those people shine on these huge stages, you've got to give it to them because it takes willpower stuff. It takes power. It takes the power of the mind. The mental kicking in addition to the physical. It's how you put all of that together. So I can't say Shaq will win it in Paris. She goes in, though, as a favorite, given the form.
Yeah. And just a quick one on this, Wayne. A lot of people are questioning her decision to change coaches and camps and whatnot. This can happen to this could have happened to her whether or not she did that. So it's not fair to blame those things, is it?
Yeah, except though that with Elaine, it's a little different. And let me tell you. So she's left Stephen Francis and she left Shanique Osborne. It's no coincidence that when she's under these two people, she performs so brilliantly. There's something behind it that I suppose the public doesn't really know. Now, Elaine has a particular injury. Elaine's body is of such where the two people who know it best are the two people that she performs best under. They know how to treat her, and when I say treat her, maybe not physically go and treat her because they're not doctors nor they're not professional physios, but they, in consultation with professional doctors and physios, they know how to treat her, meaning how to write her program, how to set her schedule to run, when not to run, what time of month to run, what time of month. The dynamics and the technicals involved with Elaine and her peculiar injury or situation, these two people are masters at it. And it's no coincidence that when she's under them, she has her best results. The document, the data is there to show it. Yeah? Elaine ran 10:54 in the same Eugene and close to the world record. Yeah? She was 5/100ths of a second off the world record. And she changed coach the next year and never, ever got back to that. She eventually settled with Shanique, and she got back to her something like her best. She closed the season last year, in a blaze of glory to a point where people believe that come next year in Paris, which would be this year, people are going to be in trouble. So Stephen Francis is one. You may wonder how Shanique Osborne get into this. When Elaine was at Stephen Francis's camp, it was Shanique who was handling her program. Because Stephen is the head cook and bottle washer about what he does. Just like Paul Francis at Sherika, Stephen would write the programs and give the different coaches, and they come back to him to give him an update on how they're doing, and if he needs to step in, he's stepping, but they're in the same group. So Shanique was coaching her while she was at Stephen Francis. So it's no coincidence when she left Stephen Francis, didn't have the greatest of results with the coach that she went to immediately after. But when she went to Shanique, she started to run good. It's because Shanique worked with Stephen and Elaine while all three were at MVP, and those are the two people who know her best. If you notice under them, she didn't suffer any injury.
Before you go, Wayne Walker, best Jamaican footballer ever.
The best Jamaican footballer ever?
Yes, that you.
The best Jamaican footballer ever. Where did you get that?
We're talking about, a caller previously was talking about the Reggae Boyz loss, and we were talking, it just morphed into a conversation about who's the best to ever do it. And I had a name that I put out there, so I want to hear yours.
So do we do a distinction between the best and the most successful?
No, not most successful, best.
Or best. Because the most successful would have to be, and Jamaican meaning homegrown, born.
Yes. Talent, yes.
Yeah, so it would have to be Leon. So if it's not more successful, best.
Leon?
I didn't see him, but I hear people talk about him a lot. Alan.
Alan Skillcode.
Yeah, but if you ask me the best I have seen, I probably would go with Stylo.
Ebanks?
I really like Stylo.
Stylo Ebanks?
Yeah, I do. I really
none of these young ones don't know Stylo Ebanks, Wayne Walker.
Yeah, he mesmerized me, man. The Stylo was just out of this world.
The Black Pearl was my pick, though.
And Walter, but Walter has got to be there as well. It's between Stylo and Walter for me.
Well, Tyrone, Fusion 365 did actually answer, and he said that to him the best one was Ricardo Bibi Gardner.
Who said that?
One of our YouTubers, Fusion 365, says it's Ricardo Bibi Gardner. That is his best footballer.
Bibi was great for us, and he had a long career in the Premier League as well.
Go again?
10 years.
I'm saying he had a long career in the Premier League.
He actually had about 12 years in the Premier League. He got there in 98, but he was playing for Bolton when they were in the Championship, formerly the First Division. And when they were promoted, they just never got back there to the Championship. So he did about 14, maybe 15, 15, 13 thereabout years in the Premier League. And that's no mean feat. I mean, when Gardner was playing in the Premier League, they had some really fantastic players like the David, the Beckhams, Vidic. He played with one of the best ever in football history, Augustino Kocha. So when he was operating,
JJ Okocha, man. When you talk about skill overflowing, check JJ Okocha. But Wayne, I have him as perhaps our most successful because of that long run in the top flight in the Premier League.
I don't think successful comes down to longevity. I think it comes down to what you achieve.
What has Leon Bailey achieved?
I could play.
You said Bailey, right? As in Leon.
Yeah, but if I play in the Premier League for 4 years and my team win it twice, you play for 14 years, just didn't win anything. I'll be more successful even though I play a shorter time.
True, but what has Bailey won?
No, so let us look at Bailey. Bailey, he took his team unexpectedly to the Champions League. Aston Villa has never finished fourth in the Premier League ever. And Aston Villa is one of Britain's, most, noted teams. And for him to do that and get out people like Spurs and Chelsea and Man United, it's a huge feat in today's football when a club can buy anybody if they see things not going anywhere to get them into Europe. The Aston Villa, when you compare their squad with the other squads, it's Aston Villa operating on a beer budget, but the others are operating on a champagne budget. And for him to be one of the fulcrum of the Aston Villa team that qualifies successfully to the Champions League, it's a huge thing. 1, 2, he's seen right now as one of the top 5 wingers in the Premier League. Now, the Premier League is one of the best, if not the best league in the world. And if you have a man in it from Jamaica who is seen as one of the best 5, he's Aston Villa's Player of the Year. In one season.
He won Player of the Year for
They were in Europe and got to the semi-finals of the Europa League.
He won Player of the Year for them?
Go again?
No, did you just say he won Player of the Year for West Ham?
For the club. No, man, for the club. He's the club. His peers in the club voted him their Player of the Season.
Yeah, man, that's what I was asking. Right.
So when you put...
I don't know. I'm not sold on the Leon Bailey argument, though, but I hear you on it.
How does my argument sound?
It's not entirely unreasonable.
Vis-a-vis Gardner, what did he achieve? Can you make the case for him?
No, that long, as I characterize it, that long stretch in the Premier League unbroken. That's quite some feat in and of itself. I think that's quite some feat. We've even had a player, but he wasn't Jamaican born and bred, who has won the Premier League with Leicester. You remember that defender, Wes Morgan?
Yeah, what you keep harboring on is longevity. And I'm saying to you...
Right, and I'm saying as a quality, I think that counts for something. Being good enough to play at that level for that long, it counts for something, I think.
It does count for something. It does count for something. I think I could make a better case for and I think I did make a better case for Bailey.
Gentlemen, while this discussion could go on all night, we're essentially out of time and we have to wrap
Thank you,
up.
Wayne Walker. Always appreciate your sporting brilliance, man.
Not a problem, brother. All the best to you, man.
All right, man. All the best, man.
And all the best to Elaine Thompson-Herro. It's unfortunate
Yeah,
the
it's
news
sad,
that we
man.
got.
It's really sad. It's really sad. All the best to her, though, in her camp. Yeah.
And she celebrates her 32nd birthday in 2 days on Friday coming up. So all the best to her. But that's where we have to leave it this evening. Thank you to our YouTubers and listeners for joining us this evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew Glenn Boogs Anderson, and all my compatriots and friends in the news and production department led by the capable Cara Powell.
Good evening. I'm Tyrone Reed.
Nationwide 90 FM is